It's been a long time, family. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Get down with brother Run. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Let's get down with brother Run. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Let's get down with brother Run. We all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. Hope everybody's doing fine. Just trying to test this stuff out right quick. I have been compelled to go live on March the 9th because they said the greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. That's Notorious B.I.G., Christopher Wallace, Biggie Smalls, all that stuff. So we're going to talk about that. I can't believe it's been 24 years since the assassination of Notorious B.I.G., and so much have come out since that time concerning his unfortunate demise. But he lives on in spirit in his music. Come out since that time concerning his unfortunate. Let's try and check the volumes and look at the. I think everything's coming clear. I think I'm coming in clear. Everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. Thank you, Influence 1414. We love you, Matt Lee. I think we're gonna be all right tonight. In the spirit of Bad Boy, we're gonna do a couple of remixes tonight. I hit the archives. I'm gonna add some more, commentary to fit the spirit of the time, the zeitgeist. But going to hit the archives pretty heavy. We're going to talk about Notorious B.I.G. this first hour, and also we're going to talk about the people's grocery lynchings, or the lynching at the curve that happened on March the 9th, 1892, 129 years ago, in the city of Good Abode, Memphis, Tennessee. This is the incident which launches the career of the righteous ancestor, Ida B. Wells-Barnett. This is the thing that launched her career. She, 29 years old at the time. She loses one of her best friends in the world, Thomas Moss, a true Black leader in the Memphis community. He was a mail carrier, a letter carrier, which was a job of prestige back then for Black folks to be able to carry the mail. And Ida B. Wells was the godmother of his daughter. And he ran a successful grocery store business known as the People's Grocery Store, what is now known as South Memphis, in the same community as Lamont Owen College, as well as where Stax Records in its heyday was located. Now it's the Stax Museum. But we're going to talk about that because that launched her career. She is arguably, Ida B. Wells-Barnett is the mother of investigative journalism in America. And she owned and operated a newspaper office on Beale Street called the Free Speech and Headlight, which is unusual. Think about it. This is a Black woman who was born into slavery in Holly Springs, Mississippi, July 16th, 1862. But in her 20s, she was able to own and run a newspaper on Beale Street. And that's interesting. This is before suffrage and all this stuff. She was part of the woman's right to vote. But she was treated like a second or third class citizen in the women's suffrage movement. And we talk about that at some other time. I believe Ida B. Wells also passed away back in March of 1931, if I'm not mistaken. And this is Women's History Month. So this is the thing that launches her career, right? And we're going to talk about that in the second hour. But I want to talk about, I just got through watching the Notorious B.I.G. documentary on Netflix called I Got a Story to Tell. And some people believe they didn't offer any new information, but I beg to differ. I'm always learning something new every day. And I actually did learn something new about Notorious B.I.G. that I didn't really realize until recently. I mean, Donald Harrison, who was interviewed, a great saxophonist, jazz great Donald Harrison. I didn't know he was a neighbor of the Notorious B.I.G. and they actually, he was like his Jegna in a way. And he put a lot of things in perspective for me as it relates to the Notorious B.I.G. He was definitely like a jazz musician. I didn't think about that, because he has a unique phrasing, cadence, and delivery flow. Notorious B.I.G. was very gifted. Like I say, he's in my top 5 of rappers. I'm a Tupac fan. Tupac at number 1. I don't think people, just the impact of Tupac is bigger than rap. He's a global icon. Just his backstory is amazing. And I believe he delivered. For me, Tupac, it was a great artist. Rakim said rap is rhythm and poetry, and Tupac was definitely a poet, and also Notorious B.I.G. But I didn't know, you think about Notorious B.I.G., how much he used his voice like a jazz instrument. It's kind of like Billie Holiday, how she used her voice as a horn. Like, she loved Louis Armstrong. And she said she wanted to sing like how Louis Armstrong played the trumpet. And she definitely mastered that, because, what Billie Holiday had, you can't teach. There was this purity talent. And with the Notorious B.I.G. had, you can't teach that. It was amazing, but the feel of what he had and how Donald Harrison really compared that to how Max Roach played the drums. The great Max Roach, who was an advocate for hip hop and rap music. Max Roach was an advocate for that. A lot of times people look at jazz musicians, like you think about Wynton Marsalis, or even the jazz critic Stanley Crouch or Albert Murray. They put down rap music, but some of the greatest jazz musicians of all time, a lot of them hated the word or term jazz. They thought it was derogatory. People like I would say Max Roach or Miles Davis. Jazz had a sexual connotation to it. The term jazz. You think about the birthplace of jazz, they say New Orleans, but think about where it was featured prominently in the brothels, in the speakeasies, in the places that were not accepted by mainstream society. It helped incubate jazz, but you think about it, and think about the fact that he did use his voice like a jazz instrument. And I love how that documentary broke it down with Donald Harrison, who also played with the great Art Blakey. To me, Art Blakey is one of the greatest jazz leaders that Black people ever produce. So it's not just even about the music with Art Blakey, because I'm a trumpet guy, and I love the trumpet players that came through the Art Blakey jazz band. Because he really brought the best out of guys. I'm thinking about Clifford Brown and Lee Morgan, and even Wynton Marsalis and some other cats, but, Donald Harrison is from that old school. Like he said, that the jazz greats that taught him, that helped him along the way, told him to pass it or pay it forward. So he was doing that with Biggie. It would have been interesting to see where Biggie would have ended up now. I think about a Gangstar or Guru, how he did those jazzmatized, albums, working with Donald Byrd and I believe Branford Marsalis, brilliant stuff. And, Guru was from Boston. There's a Guru. Yeah, Guru, did Gangstar with DJ Premier. Y'all can correct me, you hip hop heads, but he was from Boston. I think he came from a family of educators. So his approach to doing the jazz thing, even Miles Davis towards the end, working with electronic music and working with, rappers. I think like Big Daddy Kane and stuff like that. I think that was talked about in the Quincy Jones documentary that Miles was featured in, along with some other greats, I believe Frank Sinatra. But when you are a real artist, it's like the paraphrase of Charlie Parker, they teach you there's a boundary line in music, but in art there are no boundaries. It's like when I approach my art, I play a horn. It may not be to your liking, but I don't really care, because I do things in a different way. It seems like sometimes I get punished for being ahead of the curve. I know when I was even younger, I would wear the big glasses, and I wear my weird hats, and just did a lot of interesting things, and people used to laugh at me and joke me and stuff. Now you look at some of these weird, like Cam Newton, the stuff he does, and Russell Westbrook, how they really push it. But, you pay a price for being original. You pay a price for being you. But I thought it was interesting to compare Biggie to a jazz musician, because he did use his voice like a jazz instrument. And, you could tell that he had a lot of talent, a lot of versatility. He had breath control. He was a big dude. Biggie was big, but the way he controlled his breath, I don't know, it was great editing in the studio. But, you think about Notorious Thugs, the way he was able to accommodate with different styles, kind of like, fusion with jazz, or with Miles, how he was able to accommodate different styles of music into his own vocabulary, to his own vernacular. And Biggie had that gift, and he was a great storyteller. And I know why now that he was a great storyteller, because he grew up in a house where country and Western music was valued. People underestimate the power of country music to tell a story. All great art is about telling stories. You understand? All great art is about telling stories, right? So, I remember I saw that jazz documentary with Ken Burns and Charlie Parker. He got to the jukebox, and, Charlie Parker was a god. He was a music god for a lot of guys like Miles and all them guys trying to learn a new way forward. And, Charlie Parker won't listen to country music. He said, tell stories. And country music, very powerful. If you think about the origins and roots of country music, black people. Country music is black folks music. We just lost Charlie Pride. People understand he was a very successful country musician. He also was a Negro Leagues baseball player. He was a pitcher for the Memphis Red Sox back in the day. Talked to some of his teammates at a passing of a baseball great named Joe B. Scott several years ago, and they talked about Charlie Pride. So, but he made his mark as a country musician, and people thought, man, he had a hard time in country music because of just the institutional racism. But what people don't understand, that the Grand Ole Opry, some of his earliest stars were black people, like D4 Bailey was an early star of the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. If you look at the king of country music, Hank Williams Sr., he credited a black man named Rufus T. Tot Payne, who taught him how to sing and play the guitar. If you listen to Hank Williams Sr., and I love Hank Williams, I love his music. He tells great stories, but he approached it in a very black or African way. He couldn't read music himself. It's kind of like Billie Holiday didn't know what the hell notes she was singing. She just was singing. And so some of that stuff can't be taught. You just got to learn who you are, be intuitive with yourself, and put that out there, not worry about people say about it. But Hank Williams saying, he approached that like a black guy, but he was taught by a black man, and he acknowledged this black man, the debt he owed to this black man who was hired by his mom to teach her son how to sing and play the guitar. Matter of fact, his son, Hank Williams Jr., did a song in honor of Rufus Payne called T-Tot. Y'all should look it up. It talks about the story of how this black man blessed his father with the gift. So, yeah, it makes sense that Biggie listened to country music now. Ray Charles, one of the greatest country music albums of all time, was produced by Ray Charles, who was a true musical creative genius. No doubt about that. But what I'm saying, it made sense to me. Donald Harrison helping him, growing up in a house that he said he couldn't go to sleep unless he listened to country music. It tells stories. See, to me, Biggie's up there with Mark Twain or Chester Himes or any of our great storytellers, Richard Wright, Dr. Zora Neale Hurston. I mean, he's up there. He's up there. It's like it's been 24 years since his transition into an ancestor. But he's up there. He's here to stay. His influence is very powerful. So he's actually in my top 5. Biggie is in my top 5. He said he didn't make enough albums. It's not about albums. It's not about quantity with great art. It's about quality. I believe Robert Johnson, the so-called king of the blues or the Delta blues, he made less than 30 sides and he died at 27. He's part of the 27 club, right? The club, Robert Johnson, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jimmy Morrison, John Michelle Basquiat. So that's the 27 club, right? Even if you go back to the day, Louis Chauvin, the amazing ragtime piano player and composer who couldn't read music himself, but he was like, Louis Chauvin is like a mystical hero in the annals of ragtime. And he got this amazing ragtime composition called Heliotrope Bouquet that was co-written with Scott Joplin. See, what Scott Joplin did, he's considered the kind of like the father of ragtime or the king of the ragtime writers. He was not the greatest player, but the gift he had, the ability to be able to compose the music that he heard. Kind of like, W.C. Handy did not invent the blues. His ability was to notate and document what he heard in the fields and out there in the clubs and whatnot, and he put it on paper. And that what made it immortal. That what made him immortal. Same thing with Scott Joplin. So what he would do, he would team up with some of these ragtime players who couldn't read music and notate the music, write it down for posterity. A lot of people think that I lost my train of thought, I think. But y'all get my thing. But Biggie was interesting. Like, you look at it in hindsight, he had a gift, and he is one of my favorites. He's in my top 5. My top 5 consists of Tupac at number 1. Yeah, I got Jay-Z at 2. I know a lot of people like, well, Jay, I'm not looking at his politics or his biz. I'm looking at his artistry, and he's an amazing artist. Got number 3 is a tie, Ice Cube and Kendrick Lamar. I think Kendrick Lamar has solidified himself to be considered a GOAT. He's an amazing storyteller, and he loves to play around in the jazz idiom. Like I just talking about Biggie, these guys are interesting as far as their musical taste, very eclectic. Tupac was very eclectic in his musical taste. He listened to Alanis Morissette or Madonna or Sade, along with all the other stuff, the underground rap and all that stuff. Like, talking about how he was bumping Master P's Ice Cream Man, and so Tupac had a very eclectic taste. I mean, Biggie. All you guys that I respect, a lot of them are very diverse in their musical link. I mean, you look at Drake, he's in my top 10, you know, when it's all said and done. But yeah, Tupac, Jay-Z, Ice Cube, Kendrick Lamar. Number 4 is Scarface. You talking about telling the story. Scarface from Houston, Texas, from the Fifth Ward. Shout out to Scarface. Hope he is recuperating and getting better real soon. And number 5 for me is Biggie. So that's my top 5 at this moment as of March 9th, 2021. But also, let me see. 15 minutes in. I hope I think y'all can hear me. Let me see him check out. Thank y'all for coming in here. Hello, King BJ, Fiscal Mind, Adrian Taylor, One Love. Yes, Mr. B to Eternity, Squeaky G, what's up? Y'all in here. So I'm gonna play a video clip. I actually went to the spot where they shot Biggie, where they killed Biggie in LA. It's not in the hood. It's at the intersection of Fairfax and Wilshire, which is near Beverly Hills, which is near La Brea Tar Pit, you know. So it wasn't in the hood. Y'all keep on talking about when Nipsey should have left the hood. Shit, hell. Bugsy Siegel, whose birthday was February 28th, he was killed in Beverly Hills. You know, murder, death can happen anywhere. Murders can happen anywhere. You know, Kennedy got killed during a parade in Dallas in the middle of the day. So, you know, it's like Final Destination. You can't run away from death. Death always wins. Like Hank Williams Sr. song, I'll struggle and strive. I'll never leave this world alive. Some stuff like that. I'll struggle and strive. I'll never leave this world alive. You won't leave this world alive. It's like what Biggie said. He said, you nobody to somebody kills you. Baba Dick Gregory used to tell me, brother Ron, it's not how you live. It's how you die. There's a lot of times people will remember you. Let me say that again. It's not always how you lived, but rather how you died, that you may be remembered. You think about Breonna Taylor, you think about George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery. These cats were not like Malcolm X or Dr. King or Medgar Evers. I mean, they, to my knowledge, they wasn't doing any black liberation while they was alive, but they have become symbols in the black struggle. And then the guys I mentioned, you know, Medgar and Malcolm and Martin, they were killed crazy. I mean, they were killed horribly. Malcolm and Medgar were killed in front of their families, literally was killed in front of their families. Then Dr. King was killed. I mean, his brother was in town. I believe A.D. King was there when Dr. King was killed, the way he was killed. But you look at the lives that they dedicated themselves to leading. And you saw, you know, last year with George Floyd got all these funerals like he was a head of state or like he was MLK or somebody. That's interesting. But I'm not knocking that. I'm not, you know, but as I get older, I tend to see things differently now. My magic glasses are interesting in the way I see the world now than I did 20 years ago with these type of things. But yeah, so let me find that, play that a little bit. Well, I paid homage to the brother. This back on the 20th anniversary year of his pass. I can't believe it's 24 years that Notorious B.I.G. has been gone, but his influence is so powerful here to stay. And there's no need, like, you know, him and Tupac were both Geminis. Geminis, some of the greatest musicians were Geminis or are Geminis. You think about, you know, Prince, you think about Kanye, you think about Miles Davis. Come on, so many great musicians, Gemini, Jimmy Lunsford, Johnny Ace, Jackie Wilson, so many of them. So let me find that tribute, you know, paying, going to that spot, and we'll continue. I hope I won't keep y'all too long, but we'll see. And thank y'all for supporting the We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Let's get it started, party people.
This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Hey, Callie, it's Willard, Pugh, and Ron. We out here doing the Hollywood thing. All right. Took him out to lunch and just trying to keep him away from these crazy, wild women. All right. That's your boy.
I appreciate it. Corner of Wilshire and Fairfax by the Peterson Automotive Museum. 20 years ago, March 9th, 1997, approximately around 12:45 a.m. West Coast time, one of the greatest rappers of all time lost his life at this intersection on right now, Wilshire and Fairfax, leaving the Automotive Museum, the Peterson Automotive History Museum. I'm talking about one Christopher Wallace, aka Notorious B.I.G. And it's very interesting being in this place right now because like I did Tupac in Las Vegas, Culver Lane and East Flamingo Road in Las Vegas, September the 7th, 1996. Tupac was shot at that intersection, leaving a Tyson fight, which is very interesting. We are in Beverly Hills right now, and there's no historic markers marking one of LA's most infamous unsolved murders because Black lives does not matter in the system of white supremacy racism. So I've been here about maybe 30 minutes, just taking it all in. One of the most infamous murders in the United States history, officially unsolved, but we know a different story. Just take a look. It's all online. On the internet, you see that it's been solved to a certain degree of what happened to Christopher Wallace this night. And what is interesting, what people don't understand, is that the FBI, from my understanding, was watching Notorious B.I.G. get killed. Notorious B.I.G. Bad Boy was on the surveillance. Same thing I heard about Death Row Records. Tupac and them was watched by the FBI, by the feds. The feds is watching. So why are these murders unsolved? It's a mystery. It's his story. But I'm very much interested in profiling these cases and also looking at other infamous murder spots of Black lives. Take care. To be continued. So that was in 2017 when I went out there, July 2017. It was the 20th anniversary year of the assassination of Notorious B.I.G. So, like time go by fast, like 4 years ago almost since I've been out in L.A. But yes, thank you, brother Gavin. Thank you for that. Let's rest in peace, Biggie. I'm gonna read. I'm a Black musician who grew up in Memphis, and I love old-timey country music. Country music is songwriting 101. They tell stories with their songs. They sure do. And that's why, a lot of the greats do listen to country music. I mean, like people, like I said, Charlie Parker, Ray Charles. You think about even Chuck Berry. I mean, he grew up on country music and he's one of the fathers of rock and roll, but it's our music. That's the point. Y'all don't understand. Country music is black music. You know, the banjo is an African instrument. Look how it's constructed. It's an African instrument. It's not an Appalachian instrument. It's a African instrument. You know, we don't understand who we are, and we too busy trying to figure out, you know, are you Hebrew Israelite? Are you indigenous? You know, black people are indigenous to the planet. So we the original people everywhere. We are the fathers and mothers of civilization. So I think it's weird that we fight over titles and stuff. It's not really about the titles. It's about, you know, Tupac said, who do you believe in? It's about believing in yourself and naming yourself and honoring that name with a backstory, you know, with an origin story, understanding your origin story. So whatever they may be, it don't necessarily be 100% factual or actual. You know, we like Hollywood movies. A lot of y'all think that your history is best told through a Hollywood movie. And I'll tell you right now, there's no way for you to learn his story or her story or our story is through Hollywood, because they have limited view of who we are as people. So I would suggest to you that you figure out on your creative terms how to best tell your story, how to get that out there, how to amplify your point of view, because we are living in a very amazing age right now where you don't have to wait for some white dude to green light your story. You could tell your story. Like me just talking right now and talking to you all about this stuff is a way to not only to reclaim, but to create the narrative. So it's very important that we tell our stories. So, like, you know, I would suggest to y'all check out that Notorious B.I.G. documentary, I Got a Story to Tell, on Netflix, because I did learn something new. I got a greater appreciation. I know Puffy on there, and, you know, Puffy, man, there's a lot of people around Puffy that dead. They went to the jailhouse. They went to religion. I mean, Puffy's an interesting cat, you know. It's like he's a Teflon Don, because no matter what people put out there, Puffy's still doing his thing. So I haven't caught up with him yet. I'm not saying that, you know what, I don't know. But Puffy has lived a very charmed life up to this point. But like, it was interesting in the documentary, because I always say what Dr. Black taught us is that your words create worlds. Your words create worlds. And with Biggie, what is interesting is that his first album was entitled what? Ready to Die. His second album was entitled what? Life After Death. His greatest success, his second album, came after he died. So he didn't even get to enjoy his greatest success. It's like you look at even Tupac. Tupac did not enjoy his greatest success. I mean, Tupac didn't have a chance to really enjoy what he created. Neither did Big, but you listen to their music, they manifested death. See, what I'm telling people now, what I understand now as I get older or seasoned, is that black people, we can't joke like white people. We different. You know, we're different. We universal people. We got a special connection to the universe where we don't understand that we can manifest things that could be our, you know, our greatest empowerment or our greatest undoing. You know, biblically speaking, it is said that the power of life and death resides in the tongue. But a lot of times we use our tongue for the entertainment and profit of white people. Our misery is used for their profit and entertainment. Because I always look at Tupac and Biggie, I think about Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. You know, these guys, they play gangster in these movies. They play all these mob movies, but nobody, you know, look at them as being thugs or gangsters or maybe celebrities. Some people might think, oh, they're just tough. You know, nobody look at them like that. They're just acting. But with, you know, Tupac or Biggie, they, you know, write a song, they life in danger. You know what I'm saying? Because they're putting their energy out there and it comes back at you. Whatever you put out, it comes back with interest. So even though they might just say we just entertaining, we're rapping, you putting their energy out there and people believe in these things. They're not looking at you like you Robert De Niro or Al Pacino. Y'all just some studio gangsters. Y'all just doing something. It's entertainment. People looking at it as a lifestyle. It's like when I read Snoop Dogg's autobiography some years ago. He talking about how when they saw the movie Scarface for the first time, you know, these rappers got a fascination with the movie Scarface, the Al Pacino. We talking about Al Pacino once again. He playing a Cuban, right? You know, he played Michael Corleone. He's Italian American, but he's playing a Cuban drug kingpin, right? And dudes looking at that as not only just entertainment, but actually a valid way of making it in the world, which is crazy because he gets killed at the end. But you got black guys looking at this as a valid way of making it, even though it might be short term, but it still is a way to make it, you know, materialistic wise. You get all the wealth and the women, and all go by real fast. But you know, people look on this is alternative lifestyle. It's like when Superfly came out, right? And, you know, at the end, Ron O'Neal tell them cops, "No, you better not touch one hair on my pretty head," or something like that. Don't disturb one piece of hair. And people act like, "Oh, that's real life." You know, real life, he would have got killed. Soon he turned around, they would have killed them and planted a gun or something on him. You know what I'm saying? That's not real. It's like even when you think about, well, you know, the Black Caesar movie with Fred Williamson, who they're really based on. That's real Black Caesar. Look at Frank Matthews. You know, Frank Matthews was the black godfather of the drug trade back in the day, back in the late 60s and the early 70s. He really like the Black Lucky Luciano, where he organized the drug traffickers in 21 states and all these cities. Y'all know about Big Meech and all that, but you get Frank Matthews, criminal mastermind from North Carolina. It's like a lot of you guys, these big time drug traffickers, like Frank Matthews or Frank Lucas, rather, or even Ike Atkinson, who I got a chance to talk to, Sergeant Smack, come out of North Carolina for whatever reason. But Frank Matthews disappeared with his mistress back in the 70s. Jumped bail, never heard from again. And I got a feeling that they killed him. I don't know if he was working for the CIA, because he was going against La Cosa Nostra. He was not working with the Italians. He had his own supply. He had his own connect. And he had connections to Venezuela, of all places. And I really do believe that the CIA took him out, or the Corsicans, they come out the French connection. They took somebody. I don't believe he's alive right now, even though it's a thing that people believe that he was able to beat the law and win. I don't think he won, because his side chick was beautiful sister. She was real close to her family, and she used to keep in touch with her family on a consistent basis, and they haven't heard from her in decades. I think they both dead. That's just me. But what he was doing was amazing, because he was able to live next door to a Paul Castellano. He was living next door to these Italian mob bosses up in, I think, Staten Island. So, I mean, they couldn't stand his gut, but, man, this man stood up to these folks. I mean, you look at Bumpy Johnson, he was owned by the Italians, as far as I'm concerned. Bumpy was an interesting cat. He was a poet, friends with Langston Hughes and Malcolm. Now that Black Godfather, whatever, you can't go to Hollywood for your history. Talk to some of the elders. Sometimes their mind don't be right, but, a broke clock is right twice a day. But even with Scarface, even when you look at the movie Colors, I didn't know about no blood and Crips until white folks wanted me to know about the Bloods and the Crips. I had no idea what a blood or Crip was until I saw the movie Colors. And then Ice-T did it. Colors, 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 colors. See, it's a death culture, man. These folks, you can't blame Tookie Williams for the proliferation of the Bloods and Crips. He was in jail for most of his life. And he was the last person executed by the state of California back in 2005, December 2005, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor. But what I'm saying is like the East Coast, West Coast war. That was a media-driven thing. And who controls the media? It's Operation Mockingbird. The CIA controls the media. So they planning stories. A lot of journalists, the CIA on the CIA payroll. It's Operation Mockingbird. So even the East Coast, West Coast thing was fictitious on its face, but you didn't have no internet, you didn't have no social media back then to kind of counter some of this stuff. So you was dependent on the big networks to tell you the truth, or the newspapers at the time to tell you what was real, but they was never in the business of telling or discerning fact from fiction. It's all about selling. If it bleeds, it leads. And unfortunately, the victims of that were Biggie and Tupac, among other people, among other casualties. So, yeah, your words create words. So Biggie, it's funny in the documentary, they kept on saying, well, he didn't mean it. He was ready to die. He just wanted to change his life. He was tired of all this death, but he manifested that through his lyrics, man. Can you listen to Ready to Die? It's classic. It's a classic debut. One of the greatest, rap albums of all time, period. Even Life After Death, Biggie made classic albums. He didn't make many albums, but the albums he made were classics, in my humble opinion. and to appreciate the artistry and the way he told stories, you know, amazing. And he was out of here at 24. And you know, what's interesting is that I believe his best work was to come. Like with Tupac, you know, you look at a lot of our great musicians, a lot of them guys don't really hit their prime until they passed in their 30s and stuff. A lot of Duke Ellington's greatest works came in his 30s and 40s and later. You know, he wasn't really until his 40s when he made Black, Brown, and Beige, when he premiered it in Carnegie Hall back in the 40s. Duke started hitting his stride, really. I mean, as far as you got Billy Strayhorn helping him, brother from Pittsburgh, Sweet Pea, you know, openly gay black man. I'm surprised Lee Daniels haven't made a movie about Billy Strayhorn and try to act him and Duke had something going on. Duke was a ladies' man. You know, no, I know people want to say what they want to say, but you know, I'm gonna do a review on the Lee Daniels Billie Holiday movie. I wanted to do it last week, but I want to thank everybody who's been reaching out to me, donations, support, words of affirmation, confirmation. I really appreciate those things because right now I'm in a transition time. In transitioning, I'm in my 40s. It's interesting being in your 40s right now as a black man. it's very like, oh, I'm trying to adjust and adapt and keep it moving. But man, there's so much to talk about. But yeah, I would definitely encourage people to check out that movie, the documentary, and listen to some Biggie, listen to some country music. Listen to some country music, man. It's amazing. They tell amazing stories, but it's our music though. That's the ironic thing. We don't understand that we produce a lot of this stuff. And we take ourselves for granted. Thank you. Peace, everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna do one on Coming to America. Coming to America. I'm gonna do one on that as well. I think what people gotta learn is that with these movies, man, I don't have any expectations anymore. I don't not when I look at a movie, like when I looked at the Fred Hampton, the Judas and the Black Messiah, it should have been named the White Devil and the Black Messiah. Because really, Judas, because William O'Neal was not a believer at first. He was a deceiver, but he was not a believer. So I don't, you know, it should have been the White Devil and the Black Messiah. That would have been an appropriate name for it. White Devil and the Black Messiah, not the Judas and the Black Messiah. But I'm going to do a Coming to America review as well. I'm gonna do the Billie Holiday, Lee Daniel thing. And congratulations to Andra Day on her Golden Globe win, because I think it's interesting because he said that's her first time acting. I said, no, that's her first major role. She's been acting all her life. She's an artist. She's a creative. I mean, she went to school for performing arts in San Diego, and they said she used to do children parties where she played Minnie Mouse and other characters. So she's been acting for a long time. And she's a singer, and she sounds a little bit about Billie. She had her look a little bit. You know, Billie Holiday is one of my favorites. You know, Billie Holiday is one of those people that, for me, I learned the hard way. Do not listen to Billie Holiday while you sleeping. Do not use Billie Holiday to help you go to sleep, because you wake up like you have a hangover the next day. What the hell happened? You be all depressed and moody. I've been listening to Billie Holiday. I learned that in college. You can't listen to Billie Holiday while you going to sleep. They'll mess you up. But Andra Day really was a method actor. You know, she really was a method to her madness. She really inhabited that Billie Holiday space. And I just hope that she's able to detox from that, because she really put herself into the Billie Holiday zone. I mean, she lost a lot of weight, started smoking and drinking. And on them sex scenes in that movie was, oh my God, really? And they said she was celibate. My mom said she was celibate for like 7 years before she did those sex scenes. So I mean, I just pray that she get that, she can exercise Billie Holiday out of her life. You know, so I want to keep on living and producing. She's a beautiful sister. And I thought it was interesting. And I'll talk about this in my review, how Oprah really covered for Lee Daniels and Trevante Rhodes, pertaining to the sex scenes. Like she, you know, interviewed Andra Day, Andra Day. I think she said Andra Day and Lee Daniels and Trevante Rhodes for a Hulu special pertaining to the Billie Holiday movie they did. And also Susie Laurie Parks was interviewed as well. But she asked her, like, you know, were you uncomfortable with the sex scenes, all this stuff? And she said, yeah, it was uncomfortable, but she was doing it for Billie Holiday for the movie. So that protects Lee Daniels and Trevante Rhodes from any Me Too stuff popping up years later, like, you know, how Rosa Perez tried to do that Me Too game with Spike Lee, talking about do the right thing after 30-something years ago. She said she felt uncomfortable by the sex scene with her and Spike. I mean, you should have said that. And you know, people, it's interesting. But anyway, but I thought that Oprah did old boy Lee Daniels a solid by covering his ass as it relates to Andra Day being uncomfortable in those sex scenes. But the Tupac and the Biggie thing is fascinating because they lose. You know what I'm saying? The industry wins, but they lose. So people talk about blood sacrifices. We all are blood sacrifices. I think that people do not really understand what a blood sacrifice is. When you are enlisted in the army on the armed services and you fight a war and they kill you or they maim you, you're a blood sacrifice. So you made a deal. Whether it be the deal with the devil, who knows? So people are talking about they're making deals. Everybody make a deal. We all make deals. When we pay taxes for them to poison our water supply and our air, or to drop bombs on countries who can't spell the name or know where they are located on the map, you make a deal. We all made some type of pact that we're not aware of. When you're born into the system, they give you a social security number, and I ain't gonna get all that deep into that stuff, but I'm just saying it's a way you view the world. Everybody made a pact, whether you know it or not, so nobody gets out alive. So let you know that we all blood sacrifices. So saying it was Pac, man, like them songs, Death Around the Corner. He even talked about dying young anyway. So you manifest those things. And I'm trying to figure out how come, if we believe these things, how come we can't believe in something that's positive and uplifting for ourselves? You think about, I come from an interesting family. I'm learning my family trees and stuff. Found out that I'm related to famous creative artists and musicians. Like, found out recently, not that long, I'm related to Curtis Mayfield. He was a great, message guy. He also did the Superfly stuff, right? I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that nigga in the alley. I'm a pusher, man. But also he wrote some great, powerful anthems from the civil rights movement for Black liberation. And also Sister Rosetta Tharpe, she's a cousin of mine too, from Cotton Plant, Arkansas. Y'all know who she is, and I heard Marvin Gaye. And also one that I'm really taking I'm loving is Big Miller from Kansas City. He was a great jazz and blues musician. He played trombone. He was amazing, like one of them Kansas City shouters. He was the cats that had powerful voices. They didn't need no microphones to amplify their voice, like Big Joe Turner, Jimmy Rushing from Count Basie Band. He was one of those guys. He used to sing with Jay McShann. That's the band they got, they used to have Charlie Parker in as a young guy. Charlie Parker started with the Jay McShann Band before he ended up going to New York. But my cousin used to, sing with the Jay McShann Band. And also he sung with Duke Ellington for a minute. And he ended up getting stranded in Canada while on tour and became a music hero of Canada. They got a big statue of my cousin, Clarence Miller, Big Miller, up in Canada. And he did this cult classic sci-fi goofy movie from the 80s called The Big Meat Eater. He was the lead. He was a butcher. It's a singing butcher, played trombone. And I got to check it out. But I'm actually going to do a show about some of my ancestors that I'm related to. And they're very unique and interesting people. And I wish when I was younger, I knew about these people. My life would be different right now if I knew about my people the way I should have known. And I would make it a point, if I ever have kids, I might have some kids, that they would know the history. Even if I'm not here, they will have access to documentation and stuff like this to know their history. Because I think it's very important for our people to start creating our backstory. Because, people talking about, why y'all deserve reparations? Hell, they just did a movie about how the government killed one of our leaders who were trying to help us get some self-determination. Fred Hampton Sr. was killed by the government of America. Paper trails, civil trial, all this stuff been proven in the court of law. So, we all know that the gun that killed Dr. King came from the FBI. We all know now that the FBI was involved in killing Malcolm X. So this didn't happen in 1862. This happened back in the 1960s. Not even 100 years ago, let alone barely 50-something years ago. So don't give me this crap that, we don't owe y'all nothing. But yeah, you owe us. Because if you could give illegal immigrants all this help with welfare and stuff like that, what about the people who actually helped create this country for them to have welfare benefits to get? And black folks got to stand on that. I mean, I'm not interested in trying to, oh, you a Hebrew Israelite and you a Muslim and you indigenous. No, we black. My people built this country. My folks fought in every war. Relatives was lynched for their land. Relatives raped. That's why I look the way I look. You know what I'm saying? That's why you look the way you look. So, I mean, stop it with the BS, man. Start making the case, because this is the centennial year of Black Wall Street, right? Black Wall Street. It's a centennial year coming up. And what people don't understand is that what happened in Memphis on March 9th, 1892 is connected to Black Wall Street. So we're going to talk about the people's grocery lynching right now. We're going to come up on that. I'm going to play some clips from the archives. So I was going to play my biggie thing I did called Words Create Worlds that I did back in 2017 for the 20th. I'm going to just do a post and point y'all to that in the archives. It's about almost 40 minutes long, and it's worth listening to. So it's really interesting that I got archives. I've been doing this for so long that I actually have archives and videos and interviews that I actually reference and play in my live streams, you know, and like, man, I really did some interesting work over the years, you know, but I want to add to that as well. So we're going to talk about that people's grocery lynching. I'm going to have some clips that I interviewed Dr. Ernestine Jenkins when they did the dedication of the historic marker in the oldest Black cemetery in Memphis, Mount Zion, where the victims of the people's grocery lynchings, that's Calvin McDowell, that's William Henry Stewart, and that's Thomas Moss, Ida Wells' good friend, who she was the godmother to his daughter, are buried. The only grave that's been found so far has been the resting place of Thomas Moss, but the other guys are buried in there somewhere. But their spirits are speaking very loud, you know. So this is why we do what we do. I would wish, it is my hope that more of us would get hip into like researching this history. I'm not interested in basketball or football or sports or entertainment like that. I don't care for the bread and circuses and the distractions right now. After surviving 2020 and trying to navigate to 2021, I could spend my time better trying to learn who I am and where I come from and my origin story, get that together and amplify that to the world. But I would want to encourage you all to take the time to learn your family trees, her story, his story, your story. It's very important because our children, you know, people talking about what happened in Baltimore with the young man who was 62nd in his class, but he had this very lowly GPA. And, you know, people think that's funny. And, you know, the mama, no, the school job is not to teach your children who they are. It's the family. It's the village job to teach our children who they are. It's not no white administrator. You should be learning who you are at home. If you don't know who you are, it don't have nothing to do with arithmetic, reading, and writing. It has a lot to do with investing in Black Lives Matter. See, a lot of y'all got it twisted about Black Lives Matter. Y'all don't think Black Lives Matter when a white cop kill a black person or when white folks disrespect or do things to black people. See, that's the white supremacist mindset a lot of y'all have. It's a white supremacist mindset when your life don't mean nothing unless white folks are doing things to affect your life. And that's really a damn shame. That's really a damn shame because y'all wait for white people to green light movies that tell stories about you that don't really tell the truth about you. They tell stories. They embellish shit. If you just told the truth about us, you don't need no embellishments. Just tell the truth, and y'all keep on. Well, they not telling the truth. I ain't gonna never forget, right? I'm gonna move on to people grocery lynching. I might come back to Biggie thing. I ain't gonna never forget. I went to this workshop. Nickelodeon sent some people down to Memphis doing this Black Writers Conference to recruit talent for Nickelodeon. They were looking for new show ideas and new blood, right? So the folks from Nickelodeon came. They said, "Look, we want stuff that deals with snot, boogers, and fart." This is what they said. They said, "We looking for material that is dealing with snot, boogers, and farts. That's the type of material we want." And this is a company that produce content for children. Remind you, your children watch Nickelodeon. They are only interested in content that deals with snot, boogers, and farts. And you keep on having these pro-African, pan-African folks in the dashikis. Look, we got this educational show that's going to empower children of color. We just want snot, boogers, and fart. What y'all don't understand, they don't give a damn about empowering your kids. And y'all don't give a damn about Bill Cosby, who tried, in spite of his personal flaws, he produced content to empower Black people and Black children. I still remember picture pages. Picture pages, picture pages. Come and get your picture pages. Come and get your pads and your pencils. I remember that shit. It worked. You know, it's good stuff. But he also had a PhD in education. Y'all don't care. Nickelodeon said snots, booger, and fart. Y'all go crazy on SpongeBob. Don't know the subliminals in SpongeBob, SquarePants. Y'all talking about counseling Pepe Le Pew, but about Walt Disney. All that subliminal stuff in Walt Disney cartoons. All that sexual suggestive stuff in Walt Disney. Y'all ain't counseling Walt Disney because y'all love Marvel Comics. Y'all want to see some Avengers. Ooh, CGI, Avengers. Ooh. Y'all don't care about that stuff, man. Storylines be whack and stuff, man. Look, read you some Chester Himes, man. Read Donna Goins. And read some stuff. Y'all like that gangster stuff, but what I'm saying is it's weird. It is weird. Yeah, Little Bill. That was a good show. Little Bill was a good show. I don't really care about Bill Maher. I used to love watching Bill Maher. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I used to love watching Bill Maher. Politically Incorrect, Real Time. I stopped looking at that years ago because I start, when you start understanding what a white liberal really is, a white liberal is really a Klansman. They the real Klansman, a white liberal. I mean, they don't want to empower you. They want you to be subservient to them, to be grateful for them, to pat you on the head and give you the crumbs. It's like that scene in Hoodlum with Dutch Schultz. I love, that movie is so historically inaccurate, but it's a very entertaining story. But that scene when Dutch Schultz told his black guy, his black enforcer, Bub Hewlett, his name Bub Hewlett, and they don't even Bub. The real Bub Hewlett is interesting, but that's another story. But he had that eating up sandwich he was eating on and slobbing on. He told him to take the sandwich, and Bub said, "I don't want the sandwich, Dutch." He said, "Take it." He said, "Don't be too proud. Take this sandwich to your family. Wrap it up." And that's what he did. And that's what Black folks do. Black folks got nerve to call other Black people sellouts. Here you are working the job, white man's job, paying taxes for the white man system. You can't call nobody no coon, man. We all coons. Because this ain't the system. This is because y'all keep on, George Floyd, they're going to let them walk. No shit. We have Black folks. I mean, I'm talking about the people's grocery lynching, right? That happened 129 years ago when white folks went to the jail, Shelby County Jail, kidnapped these Black dudes. The only crime was that they were successful at what they did and they intimidated white people. That they were successful at selling groceries to not only just Black people, but white people. Memphis at the time of the people grocery lynching was the 5th largest wholesale grocery market in the country. Let me repeat that again. Memphis at the time of the people's grocery lynching was the 5th largest grocery market in America. Memphis is the distribution hub of America. We are in the middle of the country. Everything runs through Memphis. From economics to culture, everything come through here. Memphis has the world's 2nd largest cargo airport. We used to be the world's largest cargo airport. Hong Kong has the world's largest cargo airport now. Memphis used to be the number 1 for years. You was able to fly from Memphis to Europe, direct flight, 20-something years ago. But all that is Atlanta now. Memphis is a weird place as far as politics, because their job is to keep folks in a plantation state of mind. They're trying to build a Bahia pipeline, an oil pipeline from Mississippi through South Memphis, where Black folks, basically where I'm at right now. I'm downtown. They call this South City for justification purposes, but I'm right across the street where they blew Dr. King's face off, or his jaw off, whatever. So I'm doing this, but I'm downtown. You can hear the railroad, the train tracks, and all that stuff. I-55. But they got Valero. They producing all this pollution. Environmental racism is real. So they're trying to build a pipeline. We got some of the world's best drinking water. We got aquifer. They call it aquifer. like well water. So they want to build a pipeline over the aquifer. I think it's aquifer. I don't know, aquifer, they call that. But black folks we are protesting. A lot of us are standing up, not environmentalists. But think about why Bill Cosby in jail. Him and his wife believe in conserving the land, and they were trying to stop Kinder Morgan, energy giant on the East Coast, from building a pipeline, a natural gas pipeline, bleed through their property. And as soon as Bill Cosby and his wife start working with the environmentalists and the activists to stop them from building that pipeline, that's when Bill Cosby started getting in trouble with the law. See, I think it's all about women. See, with Cuomo, if Cuomo was messing with men, it would be no scandal. See, it's only a sex scandal when you're heterosexual. And that's another show. I'm not going to talk about it tonight. It's only a sex scandal when you're heterosexual. If Bill Cosby was messing around with dudes, Bill Cosby would not even be in jail right now. It would not have been a trial. Think about the Vatican. All them boys, they mess with older generations. Ain't no trial, payoffs, right? So, it's becoming a crime to be heterosexual right now. That's another story. But even that black governor candidate down in Florida, now, had he been caught with a female, yeah, he would have been in real trouble. Not that good trouble, but real trouble. But I mean, thank you, bro, Derek. Salute to you as well. Here is knowledge. Mafia's mothers and fathers of Italian ancestry, Sicilian ancestry. You have to be Sicilian to be in the mafia. Sicilians can trace their ancestor more as the black race. Yeah, that is true. See, the people don't understand. I'm glad he raised that point. Thank you. Shout out to you. Al Capone was not in the mafia. You know why? Because his folks they were Neapolitan. They're from Naples. His folks were not from Sicily. So that's why they called Chicago mob the outfit, because they had a lot of different ethnic people in the Chicago mob. They even had a Japanese American gangster in the Chicago mob for decades. And y'all can look that up. I'm not going to do that on the show, but there was a Japanese American, and people talking about all this backlash, racism against some Asians. You had a Japanese American that was in the Chicago outfit, Al Capone's gang, for decades, putting in work. I think he became a witness against the gang because they try to kill him. I think they're trying to blow him up in a car or something. But you can look all this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up, folks. But yeah, Al Capone was not considered a made man in the mob because he wasn't Sicilian. Yeah, I can look that up too. But those are good points. And Italians are dark. They are black. I know some Italians. I'm lighter than a lot of Italians. But, a lot of them had some Ethiopian grandmother back in the tree or somewhere. So this is why we got to teach our people. I'm not interested in a Michaela Pink and all that. There's a lot of women. See, I think a lot of women look rough, man. A lot of guys look rough. I would prefer now. All things, because don't wear no makeup, don't wear no wig. I want to know what I'm dealing with now. Because if you want me to spend money on you and all this stuff, I gotta know what I'm working with, man. Because with me, what you see is what you get. I'm not hiding anything. What you see is what you get, even the way I think about things. I don't censor myself. Yeah. But let me. I'm sorry, y'all. It'd be keep it moving. So much to think about. What is this? Okay, yeah, my biggest Thug Immortal shirts. There's on my Teespring. Go down to that shelf below to access that. Yeah, I'm gonna start promoting my art more. I got a lot of artwork I sit on, man. You see my art, people ask about is on sale. I got so much artwork, it's ridiculous. But you go to my Teespring account to access that type of stuff. And you could access that and below the video description, that shelf. If you want to buy some art of his art, I'll be making some more shirts available. I just got a lot of artwork. I'm like Tupac with the notebooks. I got like 20 something, like the sketchbooks full of artwork, notebooks and scrapbooks, and not even talking about all my art, but just over the years, man. I don't know what to do with it. Well, I know I'll be famous when I'm dead anyway. But I want to enjoy. Yeah, across the street where they killed Biggie, Bernie Sanders had his campaign headquarters back in 2016. And if you know that movie is like Johnny's Coffee Shop, if you know that movie Reservoir Dogs that Quentin Tarantino did, a classic, they opened that scene of the movie opens up in Johnny's Coffee Shop. But that was like, Bernie Sanders' campaign headquarters, I guess in L.A. back in 2016 when he was running for president. And I really do believe Bernie Sanders sold his people out because you had some real Bernie bros. I think Trump really was fearful of a Bernie Democratic nomination back in 2016. And I think Bernie Sanders, it's like he's a cool guy, whatever. But, I think people would have voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016 at that time. But that time has passed now. And looking at Michael Moore's documentary about Trump was really about the Democratic Party with Fahrenheit 411, I believe. And so, I mean, it is so much stuff. Me and Michael Moore, we got a birthday on April 23rd. We both Tauruses. Tauruses, we're interesting people. We make it manifest. You want something to happen, holler at a Taurus. Malcolm was a Taurus. Farrakhan's a Taurus. Tauruses are interesting people. We got the gift of communication. Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, Charles Mingus, some of my favorite jazz musicians are Tauruses. So, yeah, that's Wilshire and Fairfax. Now, in the video, I said Beverly Hills, but they call that section of LA something else. I'm gonna talk about it, and it's near Beverly Hills because Biggie went to Cedar Sinai Hospital in Beverly Hills, so it wasn't that far away from Beverly Hills. But people got Nipsey should have left the hood. Well, Nipsey could got killed in Beverly Hills. You get killed anywhere these days. I mean, there's no such thing. Oh, it's a safe place to be. No, you get killed anywhere now. But let me read my little Facebook post on this stuff, and then we'll keep it moving. And thank y'all for being patient, because I want to talk about the people's grocery lynching too. 3/9/2021. Never forget 24 years ago, Maine. The greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. That's the cannabis thing, That may be debatable, but what isn't debatable is that Christopher Wallace, a.k.a. Biggie Smalls, a.k.a. the King of New York, a.k.a. the Notorious B.I.G., is a ranked all-time great in the pantheon of hip-hop music, and his impact on the genre can't be denied. His influence is still being felt to this day. What many people don't realize that 24 years ago, the 24-year-old rapper was killed in a drive-by shooting, not in Compton or Watts, but in the Miracle Mile, a.k.a. Museum Row neighborhood near Beverly Hills. Yes, that Beverly Hills. Don't forget he was rushed to Cedar Sinai Hospital, which is located in that Beverly Hills. On Sunday, March the 9th, 1997, at 12:45 a.m. West Coast time, that's an estimate because people keep on changing the time, the Notorious One was assassinated in his SUV while leaving a Soul Train Music Awards after party at the world-famous Peterson Automotive Museum. He was gunned down at the intersection of Wilshire and Fairfax, right alongside the museum. The place is right down the street from the La Brea tar pits. Yeah, that's like a Hollywood production in itself. I'll talk about that some other time. To me, that place is just as suspect as the 1969 moon landing, but I digress. I really do. In 2017, during my second trip to LA, I paid homage to the forever young music legend at the exact spot of his demise some 20 years later, or earlier, excuse me. In true Beverly Hills and Cali fashion, the Peterson Automotive Museum had gotten a significant facelift and reconstructive surgery done since that tragic event 24 years ago. I also noticed across the street that the world-famous Johnny's Coffee Shop and Restaurant recently served as one of the Cali campaign headquarters for the doomed 2016 Bernie Sanders U.S. presidential campaign. This same place was prominently featured in 4 classic cult movies: Reservoir Dogs, The Big Lebowski, American History X, and Miracle Mile. As of July 2017, the propaganda was still on display. We just had a recent presidential campaign, so I don't know if they still got that stuff displayed. The iconic building was made an official historic landmark in 2013. Okay. I redubbed the infamous intersection as the place where dreams go to die. See how it works? What happened to Biggie was pure LA confidential. Although there are not any historic markers to mark the said occasion and to honor the brilliant legacy of the fallen cultural icon on that busy intersection, it is up to us, we the people and the living, to honor our greats. Long live the memory of the notorious one, the glorious one, somewhere. One love. So that's my Biggie tribute. And we got to honor these people, man. We got to say their names. Say their names, say their names. Okay. Thank you, Midnight Green. Good people. One love. We love you, madly. Somebody said Nipsey got killed by a rat. So did Fred Hampton Sr., Black Messiah. He's on the soundtrack, right, with Jay-Z. Well, the LAPD played a part. We're going to talk about, well, I'll just touch on it a little bit and I'm going to move on. So it is fascinating, man. It is fascinating. It's so much to learn. Like, Harry Truman once said that the only thing new is the history that you don't know. And there's so much to learn and so little time to learn it in. That's why I said I don't really care about all the BS a lot of us care about. And let's see. Yeah, man, this is so much. That's why I said, I'm thankful that people are getting some use out of what I'm doing. And I'm gonna keep it moving. But let me see. Before I go to People's Grocery Lynching. Let's see something. That's my Biggie and Tupac. I did that back in college some 20-something years ago. Give them the finger. Okay. I think they probably got that available on my Teespring. I got it named Thug Immortals as well. But they might be available. I may have the phrase give them the finger, available too. I don't know, man. I just got a lot of stuff going on. I need an assistant. I don't got a staff. Just doing this all. Just doing it. I'm winging it. But yeah, but y'all do yourselves a favor. Check out that Netflix Notorious B.I.G. I got a story to tell. It's worth looking at. And also a lot of revelations came forward. Like I said, a lot of people say that the FBI was there the night when Biggie got hit. People said the FBI was in Vegas when Tupac got hit, and Donald Trump just pardoned Michael Harry O. Harris. Harry O., the guy who really gave the money to found what it became known as Death Row Records. He was just pardoned by Donald Trump after spending almost 30 years, 31 years, or 25 years, something like that, in prison. And he's the guy that actually helped jumpstart Denzel's career. He produced the Broadway play that premiered, or Denzel Washington made his debut. So this guy is a powerful guy. I mean, his guy not only helped bankroll Death Row, but also helped bankroll the acting career of Denzel Washington, and he did this all in one lifetime. And he served almost 30-some years in prison. I think 25 to 31 years in prison, something like that. But it'll be interesting to talk to him about his role. But like my friend, my Jegna, the late great Emerson Abel Jr. used to say, nobody dies a natural death in show business. Nobody dies a natural death in show business. Like what Notorious B.I.G. used to say, you're nobody till somebody kills you. Not how you live, it's how you died a lot of times that people will remember. For better or for worse. But the LAPD, think about the Rampart scandal. That Rampart scandal came out right after Notorious B.I.G. was killed in L.A. It was a guy named Kevin Gaines. He was killed in a road rage incident with an undercover police officer. This white police officer killed him. And Kevin Gaines was a LAPD, a black guy who was dating Suge Knight's wife at the time. And he got killed. And like all this stuff started coming out. This right after B.I.G. got killed in L.A. You know, look this stuff up. They had a documentary on PBS about the Rampart scandal on the LAPD. So, you know, you had guys connected to death row doing moonlighting as security for death row, some police officers. And you think about the OJ trial. You know, a lot of them police were corrupt. They were planting evidence, not just Mark Furman. So, you know, like Judge Joe Brown always say, LA is like LA Confidential. That stuff is real, very corrupt. Y'all should check it out, you know, and now all this stuff coming forward. Rafael Perez, that's the guy, police officer robbing banks. You can't make this stuff up. You think it's a Hollywood movie. This is real life. This dude was connected to death row, used to do security for death row, and he, you know, went to jail for robbing banks. And this man was setting up drug dealers. He is actually the inspiration for Denzel Washington character in Training Day, Alonzo Harris. He's based on Rafael Perez. Look up Rafael Perez. This dude ended up being a driver, I believe, at one point for Harvey Weinstein. He was Harvey Weinstein's chauffeur. They got footage of him driving Harvey Weinstein around before, you know, Harvey Weinstein got caught up in that Me Too whirlwind. And what happened to Harvey Weinstein? Nobody don't talk about him no more, really. Only people went to prison for Me Too seem like it'd be Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. But I'm gonna play this clip. We're gonna talk about the people grocery lynching, the last hour. I'm gonna cover that. I want to play this interview I did with Dr. Ernestine Jenkins, a very brilliant professor at the University of Memphis. She's very passionate about Memphis history, about Black Memphis history. Brilliant person. And also she was the mastermind. I said mastermind behind getting the historic marker you know, in Zion Cemetery, Mount Zion Cemetery, at the graveside of Thomas Moss, Ida B. Wells' good friend and one of the lynching victims of the People's Grocery lynching of March 9th, 1892. So I actually interviewed her after the ceremony took place in 2019 to unveil that historic marker at his grave. And I just want to share her thoughts, you know, because like I said, I'm thankful that I got a lot of material to work with in terms of the archives. And also, family, I got some great Dick Gregory news to share with y'all in the very near future. I can't share it right now, but some great things that's happening in terms of honoring Baba Dick Gregory this year. Some major things are happening, and we're going to have a special guest on with us in the coming weeks or days. So when he give me the word to let y'all know, I'll let y'all know. You know, but it's going to be interesting because Dick Gregory, people ask me, I miss him. I don't miss him. He talks to me every day. I'm not just talking about listening to videos that I did with him. I don't even listen to the videos that I done with him. It's like, it's weird because I could be listening. Like, for example, today, I was watching William Buckley. You know, he had his series he used to have back in the day, William F. Buckley, the journalist and stuff like that. The Firing Line, I believe it's called. And I was watching some interviews he did with Huey P. Newton and Eldridge Cleaver. And guess what happened? Towards the end, William Buckley got this thing about Dick Gregory. He keep on bringing up Dick Gregory to Huey Newton. You know, talking about Dick Gregory. You know, what you think about Dick Gregory, his politics and all. I mean, but people don't understand Dick Gregory has lived many, many lives. I mean, y'all don't even understand the impact of Baba Dick Gregory or overstand it. This man has amazing. It's like he's the real life Forrest Gump, but he's not a dummy. He's brilliant. And he has all these different lives he have led in them 84 years on the planet. It's amazing. So, you know, Dick Gregory ran for mayor of Chicago. He ran for president of the United States. It's been well documented. It came out in the mainstream media that the FBI was trying to get the Chicago mob to kill Dick Gregory. This is before Fred Hampton got killed. The Chicago mob was trying to, FBI, Jacob Hoover was trying to get the Chicago mob. That came out in the mainstream newspapers and media of that time, unveiling what Jacob Hoover was trying to do to Dick Gregory. See, we don't even understand. We think, you know, Dick Gregory is not just your average court jester or weaponized celebrity. This man has sacrificed a lot for Black people. He loved his people, for better or for worse. But even in the Eldridge Cleaver interview, Dick Gregory's name popped up. Buckley brought up Dick Gregory. So, what you think about Dick Gregory? Talk Eldridge Cleaver there. Eldridge like, man, he cool. You think Dick Gregory is a pig? Is he a pig, Eldridge? Is he a pig? Is he a pig, Eldridge? Is he a pig? Nah, Dick is cool. But you know, Dick Gregory said that he believed Huey P. Newton and Eldridge were agents. And You know, and Dick did the Panther movie from 95. Y'all should look at the Panther movie from 1995. Screenplay by Melvin Van Peebles, directed by his son. Mario Van Peebles directed it. Mario Van Peebles played Stokely Carmichael Kwame Ture in the movie. And Stokely Carmichael or Kwame was still alive. Because the movie came out in 95. And Dick talked about it on our show. He played Reverend Slocum, a minister in the movie. And Dick was going to turn it down until Melvin said, "Fool, don't you realize that I'm showing how the government put drugs in the black community?" Because Dick didn't care for those California Panthers like that. Like I say, he believed that they were agents and stuff. And I believe this, we all agents. We don't understand that we're agents because we all represent an agenda that we either normally are about or it's been programmed into us to be about. You understand what I'm saying? We are a part of somebody's agenda. If you don't have an agenda, somebody has an agenda for you. So we all are agents in terms of we are being used to promote certain ideals and certain viewpoints and perspectives. We've been programmed. What is social media? It's a social experiment, social engineering. So you can't tell me you have not been affected, and we all working on different frequencies. Everybody don't hear everything. We all hear different frequencies. So they use the music, they use a lot of stuff to work on all of us that we're not aware of. It's like we all could be potential Manchurian candidates. It could be certain phrases. Like think about how people are so emotionally triggered by people's Facebook posts. Why do you care what people say or what they think? Why you gotta take the time to respond to any of this shit? I don't read a lot of people's shit. I don't. I just use this thing to dump my shit out there, to dump my stuff. Like I'm taking a dump in the toilet and I flush it and it goes somewhere. That's why I do a lot of the social media. I'm not taking the time to read everybody's social media posts, but some people, they find in their business that's to be triggered by everything. To me, that's a potential Manchurian candidate. You know, if you let certain hashtag words or certain things trigger you like that, that's ridiculous. People have lost friends and family over political views. It's not even important because they don't care about you either. Your guy don't care about you. It's quite evident that your guy, you know what I'm talking about, black people, does not give a damn about you. It's quite evident that he does not. And that I don't care how many chucks and pearls you got in your collection, they still don't respect you. They still don't love you, baby. But anyway. Well, y'all think like y'all talking about Judge Joe Brown. A lot of y'all kind of weird because Judge Joe Brown several times addressed the issue. Y'all talking about Boulay and all that. I mean, Steve Coakley, how long he been dead? Steve Coakley died in what, 2012? Steve Coakley spent years trying to educate you all about the Black Boulay, but yet they still exist. So I know that. Oh, I know y'all ain't serious about nothing because y'all just take this as entertainment. Because if y'all are serious, why do they still exist? Y'all keep talking about like y'all be trying to get me to worry about stuff that I can't control. It's like, yeah, this is what they're doing, but what you gonna do about it? Yeah, they show you that they kill your leaders, but what you gonna do about it? Yes, they're showing that they're poisoning your baby through the food and water and the air, but what are you going to do about it? How about them Cowboys? Oh man, Brooklyn Nets, the greatest offensive basketball team of all time. They better than Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant and Draymond Green. It's like, you know, I can't. It is my wish that black men in particular took their liberation as seriously as they take sports. This gladiator crap, you know, I'm just like, I'm not feeling it, man. I don't care what LeBron got to say about Black Lives Don't Matter. I don't care. I don't hate nobody. Look, I don't care. It's not important. See, I didn't realize what Dick was saying. He said the celebrities ain't going to change the world. It's the everyday people that changes the world. You know, y'all want rappers to be revolutionary. See, they did a trick on us. You see, Fred Hampton and Kwame Ture and H. Rod Brown and Eldridge Cleaver, these guys were brilliant wordsmiths, brilliant communicators. Now, if they were living today, they'd probably be rappers. See, they use our talents against us. To instead of liberate us, they use it to enslave us. That's why Tupac was so conflicted to me, because Tupac was a Panther Cub. You know what I'm saying? Tupac was trying to be the vanguard of the new Black Panther leadership, but he got caught up in that sauce. And I'm not really the This system will give you the tools to destroy yourself. And Tupac was trying to do things, and people still don't understand what Tupac really was about, which is unfortunate. And they should have been trying to help him instead of trying to hurt him. But at the same time, Tupac got caught up. Look, his mom was a Panther. She was part of that Panther 21. Malcolm X bodyguard, Gene Roberts, who was also undercover bossy, he was the one that set up Tupac mama and the Panther 21, accusing them of trying to blow up historic landmarks in New York City. Kind of like how that guy that just passed away, that what was it, Ray Woods or whatever, that undercover guy who said the FBI and the NYPD killed Malcolm X. He set up some Malcolm X bodyguards to take the fall for legend trying to blow up historic NYC landmarks. See, the plays never changed. The plays never changed. The players change, but the plays are the same. The playbook is the same. So what they said, we know all this information, but yet y'all still call on the FBI to help y'all. Y'all still calling the police to help y'all. So y'all not ready for revolution. Like, if you can't deal with your mentally ill relative without calling the police, and then they get killed by the police because they don't know how to de-escalate or deal with mentally ill people, then we got a problem, because we can't even deal with each other without, police intervention. If you can't take care of your kids without friends of the court intervention, it's a problem, because there is no institution in this system that is working for the support and benefit of Black people. Let me repeat that again. There is no institution that you could think of, not even the so-called Black institution, that is working towards the interests of liberation and self-determination for Black people. You can't name one. The HBCUs were created by who? White men who wanted their mulatto bastard children to go somewhere to get educated. Who created the Ivy League schools? White men who wanted their dumb sons to get educated. Think about George W. Bush. You talking about affirmative action? This man should not have never been president, let alone able to graduate from an Ivy League school. But yet he's president. And you got brilliant Black people like W.E.B. Du Bois, who couldn't even teach at Harvard. This man he was the first Black person to get a PhD from Harvard University. He was never asked to teach at Harvard. But George W. Bush, everybody on George W. Bush. Come on, man. So you can't name one institution that exists today that works for the benefit and for the empowerment of Black people. Can't name one. You could name names of things that sound good, but they don't work towards the benefit for the self-determination and liberation and the empowerment of Black people. Can't name one, not even the Black church. Y'all looking at PBS, oh, they feel good. Y'all so emotional. Y'all like a Carl Thomas Drake album. Just so emotional. Oh, they love us. I think they like me. Oh, I think they like me. Come on, man. But anyway, yeah, we have no friends. So not laughing at that, but let me just play this. Sister Ernestine Jenkins, and we'll keep it moving on. We All Be. It's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. It's freestyling tonight. Let me see. Find that. It's Dr. Ernestine Jenkins. We love y'all madly. We all be. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
We All Be is honored have on the one and only Dr. Ernestine Jenkins. He's truly, in the words of Duke Ellington, beyond category. Not only she is a historian extraordinaire, but she's a real community activist, and she had activated the ancestral memory of the people's grocery lynchings of that of Brother Thomas Moss and his business partners, Calvin McDowell and William Henry Stewart. We are at the historic dedication marker ceremony post, actually, for this event that she was the mastermind behind. And thank you, Dr. Jenkins, for being on with us to share your thoughts.
Thank you.
So what are your thoughts today that you finally got this marker in the ground over the gravesite of Thomas Moss? How do you feel about this situation?
It's difficult to find words, but I think probably sacred or blessing is good, historical, because it was just such an important personal thing to actually get done, and to have us come back out here and meet and have this ceremony. When you think about, there has probably not been a ceremony commemorating these three young men since they were actually interred here, but I'm sure that the Black community at the time probably continued to come out here and remember these three young men. But yeah, it was really important, and I hope that it helps to maybe spur more important endeavors in documenting the African American history and presence in Memphis, because it's really important.
Can you give a short synopsis of why we're here today, gathered here for this ceremony or this cause?
Mm-hmm. To me, it's important to gather here because it's the bicentennial. And I don't think that there has been enough emphasis put on documenting African American history in the city. And so it's over 100 years, almost 200 years since this particular event happened. And after this event happened, Thomas Moss's wife, for instance, she left Memphis. We don't have an idea of what happened to Calvin McDowell's relatives. He was unmarried, and we don't know what happened to William Henry Stewart's relatives. He was also a young man, and he had not married yet. So it's just important to document how important those three young men were to their community, that they were loved by people, that they were all buried here together in this historic, sacred space. It's ironic that we have found the grave of Thomas Moss. We haven't found the graves of the other two young men yet. And to me, that's the kind of history that speaks. You know, that Thomas Moss was the one of the three men that was the closest to Ida B. Wells and spurred her to start the anti-lynching campaign and do all of that research on really trying to figure out why whites were intent on directing such violence towards Black people, you know, and finding out that it wasn't about the rape. It was about the success that Black people were having in the late 19th century and trying to intimidate them and keep them from doing that. So, yeah, they need to be remembered, you know, and thinking about when terrible incidents happen in your community like this, the 1866 Memphis Massacre, this 1892 lynching of these three young men, and still Black people in this city were not run off by whites. They stayed and they continued to build their communities and build their homes here and make this city the definitive place that it is today.
So when you think about, you talking about the Memphis Massacre 1866 and the People's Grocery Lynching of 1892, what do you think was the cause of these events? Was it about, like, you know, what do you think were the cause, or what have been proven in time why these things happen?
Well, with the 1866 Memphis Massacre, that was coming out of white people's feelings about having lost the war. And that was when you had several thousand, you know, there were probably almost 4,000 slaves that were in Memphis before that. And then you had the population increase to over 16,000 by the end of the Civil War. And then you had thousands of Black men within this region that were serving with the Union Army. And so the appearance of Black men in uniform after the Civil War, all of the Black people that were settling here in Memphis after the Civil War. And that's the way they talked about Memphis. When you go back and look at the records, they refer to Memphis as a city of refuge. because you had the fort that was here that mostly former slaves had built. The Union Army was here. So it was a place where people felt protected. And it just blew up after the war in this confrontation with the police, even back then, and the former slaves. And so you had this violence where something like 46 blacks lost their lives and 2 white people by mistake. And behind the 1866 Memphis Massacre, you had the passage of the 14th Amendment, which the government passed to try to give blacks some additional protection. And that's how we define what a citizen is, all because of what happened in Memphis in 1866, the first 3 days of May. We get your definition of what a citizen is. That was when blacks were made citizens. And you have Trump trying to mess with that today. That's how we define citizenship in this country, because of what happened here in Memphis in 1866. And then you have this in 1892, and A.L.L, Wells, not just in the United States, but going around the world, founding and establishing the anti-lynching campaign. All again because of what happened here in Memphis in 1892.
Wow. And so what was the reason for the lynching of her friends, especially her good friends? She was she was the godmother to his daughter, correct?
She was the godmother to his daughter, and his wife was pregnant at the time. And as the sources says, she fainted right here, at this gravesite doing the ceremony and stuff. And Thomas Moss was one of the first black mailmen in Memphis, and this picture shows him wearing his uniform as his cap with his number on it, and his shirt as a mailman. And they had just started hiring black men as mailmen in the late 1880s and early 1890s, and he was one of the first ones. So he would have been a fairly established, older than the other 2 young men, family man, and important in his church. He taught Sunday school in his church. And just, even for the white people at the time, it was just mind-boggling that they lynched 3 young black men in this community that both white and black people knew as upstanding citizens.
That they were lynched because there was an economic competition with white people. Is that true?
Yeah, it would not have happened if it had not been for the anger and jealousy of the white man that had the store across the street. And the fact that this store that they opened up, this co-op store, was in competition with that store and doing good business.
And that's the People's Grocery.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would not have happened if he had not instigated it. It was all on him. And getting a group of other white men to go in and take these 3 young men out of jail and take them up to the railroad tracks in North Memphis and kill them, shoot them to death.
So the thing about it was they were protecting their business, right?
Protecting their business. And in the initial incident, they had gotten word that this white man had gotten the sheriff, and they were going to attack the store. And so that's the reason Calvin McDowell, he got into a fight with one of the men and knocked him down. And that was the reason they had their guns and stuff, because Calvin McDowell was a member of the Tennessee Rifles. That was one of the black military organizations that had helped protect Memphis during the yellow fever epidemics. And that was the reason they were armed, and had their guns. And they shot some of those men. And the black community was on pins and needles because they thought that one of the white men that had been shot was going to die, but he didn't. So the black community thought everything was going to be okay. And so this white man took it further and went into the jail and took the keys and overpowered the white officer that was sitting there and took the 3 young men out purposely, because there were other men in jail. They particularly came in and got the 3 of these young men and took them up to the railroad track there in North Memphis and shot them to death.
So they didn't have social media at the time, but like the last words of Thomas Moss was recorded for posterity, I guess. What did he say exactly?
He said something about leaving Memphis because there was no protection for blacks here. Calvin McDowell is the one, according to sources, that fought very strongly. He was a tall, well-built, white-looking black man who could have passed for white. And they said that he fought. Ida B. Wells talks about this when she went around giving the speeches and talking about the incident. And that was the word of mouth and the way that black people were maintaining the oral tradition around the story, that he was the one that fought very hard, because they looks like shot the gun off of his face because one of his eyes was missing and his lower jaw was all torn apart and stuff. So they shot him point blank in the face.
So basically, this is the lynching that jump-started Ida B. Wells' career and also ran out of Memphis, correct?
Yes.
Why was that?
Yeah. Well, because of her close relationship with Thomas Moss. Mary Church Terrell, as I mentioned before, also had grown up with Thomas Moss. And so she writes about that as well. But that's the way activism often starts. Something as horrendous as this happens, and you just can't understand why. Like I said, these were not criminals. These were not young men that had a bad reputation. These were upstanding citizens. How could you have such hatred to do something like that? And that spurred her activism, but it also spurred her interest in becoming a journalist, which she already had. She was working for the newspaper, and she just took it a step further and began to do research and travel throughout the South and document these stories where she had heard there had been a lynching, and started to ask those questions. And that's how she came to the conclusion, and she published her 2 pamphlets talking about this was all about jealousy and being intimidated by the success that Black Americans were having, even in front of all the obstacles that white people put in their way. It was never about the rape of white women.
And that angle of white Memphians, some of them, or a lot of them.
Well, like I said, this is really a different kind of lynching, because this is a lynching that happened in a community. It's not like with the A.L.L. Persons lynching in 1917, when that was somebody that people didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
These people were known. They were living over there in this mixed Black and white community along the curve in South Memphis. So this is just unique because these people knew each other. That white man knew them, just like he knew them. So yeah, it's just something that's so unique about this particular thing here.
So you have any idea what happened to, like, you said, like, some of the people, like the Calvin McDowell family, you know what happened, but Bessie Moss,
she left. She left, and I don't want to. It's either Ohio or Illinois, I think, or maybe Indiana, but one of the Midwestern states. She left eventually and went there. She was here for about another year.
Wow.
She was pregnant, remember, so she had to give birth and whatever. And she left and moved, and she didn't marry immediately, but she did marry someone else, I think after about 7 years old.
That's good. And she had a son, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. I saw that.
Maureen was the girl that was already here, that Ida B. Wells was the godmother to, and then the child that she had after the lynching was the boy.
I think you had the picture. I saw the picture of her, Ida B. with the son and the daughter.
Yeah, she continued her relationship with them because she was like a mother to the children. And in the Ida B. Wells archives at the University of Chicago, there are pictures of Maureen as a young woman, and a picture of Ida B. Wells with the 2 young children, and with Bessie Moss.
So, like, uncovering these type of stories, like we got this situation in the last couple of years, people taking down Confederate monuments and flags, but also you got what you're doing in terms of resurrecting the ancestral memory of our ancestors who were, I guess, part of this Black Holocaust, or so to speak, of America. By doing that, do you think it makes the case easy for reparations for Blacks descendant of slaves, or this movement they got going on, Americans descendant of slaves? Does it make the case easily for reparations when you talk about stories like these?
I got a long answer for that one.
Okay.
Let me stop and take a little bit of...
Yeah, drink water. Yeah.
Okay. So the question, how would this impact the discussion around reparations? I think it's going to be important. Um, I'm forgetting the name of the young congressman. He's Hispanic, Arizona, who gave a really good answer, or at least a well thought out answer, last week or so around the issue of reparations. And he had mentioned that if we can give reparations to people associated with Native American history, or if we can give reparations, for instance, to the descendants of some of the Japanese that were interned in the camps during World War II, then how come we cannot even have a discussion about reparations when it comes to people who were actually property? And as he said, I'm not talking about reparations in terms of, a paycheck that you're going to give to somebody, but that we need to look at certain issues around race and issues around prison reform, education, other parts of our society that we know that we have not treated people in an equal manner in terms of access to education or access to good legal counsel or whatever, and we're locking people up, for instance, for crimes that we know that they did not commit and they may be innocent. We're sending mostly young black men to be executed with the death penalty laws that we have today, or even the mayor in California that just spoke to that, and he's talking about, or actually he's going to do it. He is going to outlaw the death penalty in the state, because he says, that we are killing or executing men that are innocent, and most of these are young black men. So there are ways that if we want to do this, it can be done. And so I would suggest that people don't think that this is such an outlandish idea or it won't happen. I think that there's probably now that we're moving in that direction, that in some shape or form, there's going to be some discussion or something happen around the whole issue of reparations.
I thank you, Dr. Jenkins, for that. And also, where's the exact location of Attb Wells newspaper office? I know they got a mark on bill, but what's the exact location?
That's about where they think it was, another building that she worked in. Mm-hmm. But she did, when she first came here, and she worked for the newspaper that was founded by the minister at Beale Street Baptist Church. Then that was supposedly where the offices were for that newspaper. So that came out of the discussion we were having about there is an interest in Memphis in having a statue of Attb Wells in place. Mm-hmm. And they were talking about putting it where her home's, where she used to live. That doesn't make sense to me. They should be, to me, the best site for a statue for Attb Wells would be around in Church Park, near historic Beale Street Baptist Church, because that's where the newspaper was that she worked on. It's still near the marker that's near FedEx Forum, where there was another office that she worked at. And then she knew Robert Church Sr. like everybody else did. He at one time loaned her money in hard times. So, and Beale Street Baptist Church is one of the churches that she used to go to, in addition to Avery Chapel and some of these other churches that were then mostly all downtown, because most of those black churches built after the Civil War were along the Beale Street area. So that's where it should go. Beale Street, during her heyday, that's when Beale Street was becoming the epicenter of the black social, political, and economic life in Memphis. So she was very much a part of that. It should go on Beale Street somewhere.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. I mean, I could stay here all day, or you get all this information that we need to hear and get amplified. And I want to thank you so much for your continued service to the community. It's always awesome to run into you and also hear about I got to talk to you about the Frederick Douglass stuff. Okay. That you went to Scotland.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah, we got to talk about that separately, because I think that's very important. But thank you so much for carrying the torch of our ancestors, our righteous ancestors, and for keeping us aware of what's going on, and keep on doing the good work you're doing. Amplify blessings and the words of Great Duke Gelton. We love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing.
Take care.
And that was Dr. Ernestine Jenkins, a very brilliant scholar and lover of Black people, of Black Memphis history, talking about the significance of the People's grocery lynchings of 1892, March the 9th, 1892. It was truly a game changer. So that's something y'all should be aware of. Not only does March the 9th represents the assassination of Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., but also that's significant Black history. And I'm about to wrap it up. I had a couple other videos, but I think y'all got the gist of why that was so significant to remember. And somebody in the chat asked this question: do you know anything about Howlin' Wolf? Yeah, I love Howlin' Wolf. Do I know anything? Well, I'll tell you this. Let me leave that. Y'all see. And we're not dealing with Howlin' Wolf, but I'll tell you this. Sam Phillips, the guy who founded Sun Records, this is the guy who that discovered Elvis Presley, right? Sun Records. What people don't understand was that Sam Phillips was from Alabama, like W.C. Handy. His master teacher was a blind Black man who taught him how to hear, how to actually listen to sounds, listen to nature. Now that's interesting. Sam Phillips, the white dude who founded Sun Records, right? Black people are always teaching white folks stuff. Y'all keep on saying they stealing stuff from us. I just told y'all that Hank Williams Sr., the king of country music, was taught by a Black man. His mama hired a Black man, Rufus T-Top Payne, to teach him how to play guitar and how to sing. And he's buried in Lincoln Cemetery outside of Montgomery, Alabama. And the Grand Ole Opry, along with Hank Williams Jr., they created a monument in his honor that's at the entrance of the grave. Like, he died during the Great Depression, and they don't really know where he's buried at in the cemetery. But they had a monument dedicated to him not that long ago in his honor for teaching the king of country music, Hank Williams Sr. And Hank Williams, before he died at the age of 29 under questionable circumstances, he was on his way to a gig, and they found him dead in the back of his Cadillac, I believe. Somewhere, I want to say West Virginia, perhaps. I don't know. But he actually paid homage to the guy. He said, yeah, this is the guy that taught me, this Black man named T-Top. And Henry Wallace, the vice president for Franklin Roosevelt, the 33rd, was he the 30th or 32? President of the United States, Franklin Roosevelt. I think it was either 32nd. I think Truman was the 33rd. Let me take a look. Y'all love when a Black man is wrong about stuff. I mean, white man can lie to you like Joe Biden can lie to y'all all day long about stuff. Y'all don't call him out. Y'all quiet as church mice. Oh, give him a chance. Give him 100 more days. He'll come around. He was the 32nd. Okay. Yeah, he was 32nd. But his second vice president, see, Franklin Roosevelt's first vice president was a dude from Texas named Jack Gardner. His second vice president was Henry Wallace, and he had a Russian issue. His guru was a Russian. Some people thought he was a Manchurian candidate, something like that. But they replaced him with Harry Truman, who was only, I believe, he was only vice president for about 82 days before Franklin Roosevelt died. So, history would have been different if Henry Wallace was president. But he was taught by George Washington Carver, a Black man. He ended up founding a company based on inspiration from George Washington Carver, because George Washington Carver used to take Henry Wallace out in nature. George Washington Carver was going to school in Iowa, but they would not allow him to stay on campus because he was Black. So he ended up staying with Henry Wallace's father, who was a prominent politician and a newspaper owner. So they was well off. So George Washington Carver would take the young Henry Wallace on nature walks, because really George Washington Carver was the real Dr. Doolittle. You understand what I'm saying? See, Bass Reeves was a real long ranger. Dr. Doolittle was really George Washington Carver, because he would talk to animals and the plants and stuff. And he taught Henry Wallace how to do that, how to understand or understand nature. So when he got older, he was married. he took his wife's inheritance and started this company, which in 1999 was sold to DuPont, I believe, for almost $10 billion in all. I think the total sale was close to like $9.9 billion. So this dude started a corporation that, you know, he was inspired by George Washington Carver to pursue this line of work. So Black people are powerful. Then people talk about the stories of George Washington Carver and his friendship with Henry Ford, and allegedly it was George Washington Carver who inspired Henry Ford with the auto plant. You know, it's all types of stuff. But you know, Eli Whitney did not invent no cotton gin. So, you know, the patent office was created to keep Black folks from claiming ownership on their intellectual property, because the way to build wealth in this company, in this country, I said company, a corporation, whatever. The way to build wealth is to own your intellectual property. You know, unions were started to keep the most skilled people from working, which are Black people, or were Black people after the Civil War. So I'm going around the world, but getting back to Sam Phillips, who started Sun Records, he was taught how to listen, how to hear sounds by a blind Black man in Alabama. I believe Sam Phillips was from Florence, Alabama. That's the same place that William Christopher Handy, the father of the blues, W.C. Handy's from, the son of a preacher man. You know, but Sam Phillips, before he died, I believe Sam Phillips died in 2003. I'm not going to look that up. I'll look it up. But I read an article in the local paper, the Commercial Appeal. He said the greatest talent he ever encountered in his life was like Howlin' Wolf and Johnny Cash. He said these are two greatest musicians he ever had the chance to encounter or work with. Howlin' Wolf and Johnny. This the guy, like I said, he discovered Elvis Presley, Ike Turner, and Jackie Brenston. Recorded Rocket 88, arguably the first rock and roll song in history, at Sun Studios. I know Ike Turner was a talent scout for Sam Phillips. Sam Phillips' goal was to record Black musicians for white mainstream audience. He'll try to get Black musicians to cross over for white mainstream consumption, but the white folks, racist as they are, they didn't want it. So, you know, they end up finding like Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash, the $1 Million Quartet. Y'all look it up. But he said that the greatest talent he ever had a chance to encounter was Howlin' Wolf, along with Johnny Cash. You know, Johnny Cash was inspired by Sister Rosetta Tharpe, my cousin. He was inspired by her. So Howlin' Wolf is amazing to me because he's one of my favorite artists of all time because his distinctive sound and his, you know, own musicianship. You know, he's out the Delta. And then went to Chicago to electrify the blues, but that's Mississippi Delta. That's blues electrified. That's from Mississippi Delta. Like, same thing with Muddy Waters. But my understanding that Howlin' Wolf was an interesting musician, like in that fictitious movie Cadillac Records. You know, the fictitious movies where Beyonce played Etta James, and you know they blaming Muddy Waters for the downfall, the Little Walter, whatever his name, the great harmonica genius. But Howlin' Wolf about his business. You know, from my understanding that he paid his men enough money for them to get health insurance. And he had a smart Black woman that he married to. I believe she was an accountant. So she helped, you know, count his money, get his stuff straight. So he was able to pay his man, you know, enough money to cover for health insurance, which I guess was a rarity back in those times. I mean, people still have issues with health insurance, but also, what I want to say about Howlin' Wolf. There's so much to say about Howlin' Wolf. There's a book out, a biography, I think people said worth reading. It came out not too long ago. It's a biography of Howlin' Wolf. He came up hard, man. Like, you know, Howlin' Wolf type of dude, the way he sang, like he came out the cave, like he came out the earth, man. He was so, like, you know, powerfully built. But talking to the great Charles Lloyd, the jazz giant that we still got with us. We lose so many jazz giants, but Charles Lloyd, great saxophonist from Memphis, a brilliant mind, very creative genius. When he was coming through, paying his dues, he used to play for Howlin' Wolf. And he said something about Howlin' Wolf. He said, if you mess with me, you be eating pork chops instead of neck bones. You'll get the pork chops. You work with me. You work for Howlin' Wolf, you get the pork chops. You make money to get pork chops instead of the neck bones. See, Howlin' Wolf about his money. So Cadillac Records really portrayed that, I believe, correctly about, you know, he didn't want no Cadillac. I want to get paid. I'm Howlin' Wolf. Hey, that's Howlin'. I love Howlin' Wolf. But yeah. So Howlin' Wolf, you know, was an interesting blues guy. and I love his music. So thank you for that. Okay, so like you a big Hollywood fan. Yeah, Elvis actually his favorite minister was a black dude named Dr. William Herbert Brewster. He used to go to his church on Sundays in South Memphis, East Trigg Avenue. East Trigg still exists. You know, they got a new church, but the church that Elvis used to go to is right next door. It's being rented out to another church ministry. But yeah, he's come East Trigg off of Bellevue near Jack Purtle's. You Memphis folks know one of the best. The Jack Purtle's I grew up on is on Bellevue, which turns to Elvis Presley as you go further south. But East Trigg Avenue is where Elvis used to go for church service to hear the great Dr. William Brewster and his choir. Dr. William Brewster is a very important gospel songwriter. He's the cat that wrote Move On Up a Little Higher, the song that Mahalia Jackson made a multi-million seller. Move on up a little higher. He wrote that song. See, people don't understand Mahalia Jackson got a very powerful connection to Memphis because her Jegna, her mentor, I call him Jegna, was Lucy Campbell. This is the mother of gospel music. Lucy Campbell was director of the National Baptist Convention, as far as their director for music. She actually not only mentored Mahalia Jackson, but also Marian Anderson, the great opera singer, made her national debut at the National Baptist Convention under the tutelage of Lucy Campbell. Lucy Campbell also discovered and trained and nurtured Dr. King's favorite singer. I'm not talking about Mahalia Jackson. Dr. King's favorite singer was a black dude from South Memphis named J. Robert Bradley. He had an amazing voice, and he died, I want to say either 2007, 2008 in Nashville. And I'm not going to look this up. Y'all look up J. Robert Bradley. That's Dr. King's favorite singer from my understanding. That's why Dr. King has such a strong connect to Memphis. Memphis is a very powerful place. But Lucy Campbell taught for years at Booker T. Washington High School in South Memphis. Booker T. Washington High School was also the high school of Maurice White, who was the architect and visionary behind what is now known as Earth, Wind, and Fire, arguably the greatest R&B band of all time. So Maurice White went to school when Lucy Campbell, the mother of gospel music, was teaching there. And he was on the tutelage of W. T. McDaniel. So Memphis history is very powerful and deep. It runs really deep. But Ike Turner was from Clarksdale. Clarksdale is an amazing place. Clarksdale produced some phenomenal musicians. Clarksdale produced not only Ike Turner, but also Sam Cooke and John Lee Hooker. And even the rapper Rick Ross is from Clarksdale. Nate Dogg smoke weed every day. Clarksdale, Mississippi had a family gospel singing group in Clarksdale before he moved out to California. Charles Wright, express yourself. You can do it. So many interesting black folks come out of Clarksdale as far as musicianship. Even Muddy Waters got roots in Coahoma County, where Clarksdale is located. He used to come, I believe, and stay at the Riverside Hotel. This is the same place where Bessie Smith died, at the Riverside Hotel. I think it was a color-only hospital or whatever. But Bessie Smith died in Clarksdale at that hotel. Clarksdale is interesting. This is Mississippi Delta. Like I tell people here, I'm in Memphis. Memphis is so rich. And I'm not just talking about just the city, but just the area of the history and the culture. Like I said, this is the middle of the country. A lot of things run through here culturally, and economically. So like Memphis is a powerful place, but the powers that be, they shortchange it all day long. It's been shortchanged. The people here are so dumbed down that they don't even realize what they have. Because, you know, when we got like an inferiority complex in this part of the country, it's like with Mississippi. So many great people come out of Mississippi. It's ridiculous. But Mississippi got this national reputation that's really interesting. But it's a lot of brilliant people that come out this part of the country. And now you just go Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas. The South is very powerful in terms of what types of people have come out of here. You know, like it's funny, I go to places around the country and people are doing real well and then find out they got Memphis connections. Like even Herman Cain was born in Memphis. Whatever you may think about Herman Cain is blacker than a lot of folks that say they black. Herman Cain was blacker than a lot of folks that say they be one. You understand? Herman Cain he was born in Memphis, raised in Atlanta, went to Morehouse, and was married to a black woman for 50 plus years. Y'all calling him a sellout. I don't understand that. But anyway, Like I said, we all sell out on different levels. Some sell out cheaper than others and quicker than others. That's all I look at it. But let me wrap this up. Let me read my little tribute about the People's Grocery Lynching, because I could play some videos, but I don't have to do that. I don't thank y'all for being patient and spending some time with your brother Ron here. Brother Ron. See what I can do. Yeah, I can always go to We All Be TV for the archives and check out this stuff. We All Be TV while you can on YouTube. It's backing things up. Well, we gotta start talking about our history, though. It's imperative. Can't wait for these folks. A lot of y'all think that the pandemic, a lot of y'all pride yourself. Kids are not learning. Your kids should be learning something new every day. If you are alive in this country, you should be learning something new every day. I learn something new every day. I don't even try to. I just exist and be open to receiving. And therein lies the importance of knowledge itself. And that's the foundation for any real education. So let's get on with the beginning. And I said, thank y'all for the patience. Let's see. I'm about to get out of here. And I'm going to add something. And Muddy Waters was discovered because they were looking, actually, I think they were trying to find Robert Johnson. And they ended up finding Muddy Waters. A lot of people looking for Robert Johnson. He died prematurely. He died at 27. He had John Heyman, the guy, A.N.R, whatever. He the one that allegedly discovered Billie Holiday, Count Basie, I think Aretha Franklin, Bob Dylan, whatever. He was a Vanderbilt. And he sent somebody to look for Robert Johnson down in Mississippi Delta for his 1938 Spiritual the Swing concert. And also, I think father and son team, the Lomaxes. They call them Lomaxes, work for the Library of Congress, recording blues people in the field. Everybody trying to find Robert Johnson, they end up finding somebody like Muddy Waters, and the rest is history. And Muddy Waters is so interesting to me because you could tell he's like as a holy man. He got that had a very like spiritual presence about. You look at how his face looked, high cheekbones. He had a very like a presence about. Come find out that one of his brothers was a well-known minister. So he come from a family of preachers and stuff. So it makes sense. And like I read some of Muddy Waters when I went down to the Delta Blues Museum in Clarksdale, where he challenged the stereotypes of blues musicians, because people think that blues guys would wear overalls, they were country and all. So no, he liked the suit. He's not gonna play. He ain't gonna be no minstrel show for white people. He said, I dress in suits and all that stuff. I got pride in myself. I got confidence. Just like with Robert Johnson, these blues guys were musicians, period. They just didn't play the blues. Robert Johnson played top 40 radio. In order to be employed back then, it's during the Great Depression. You play these rent parties, these juke joints, you had to know what was on the radio. And Robert Johnson was he played top 40 radio. And there's a book that came out recently, written by Robert Johnson's stepsister. She's almost 100 years young, and she got like her mind is so clear. She's in good health. And she wrote a book with this guy I know named Preston Lauterbach, who I interviewed before on his Chitlin Circuit book. Preston Lauterbach is a very good writer who lives in Virginia now, but he was working for the Memphis Flyer at one point, but he moved from Memphis a while back. But he wrote a book with Robert Johnson's sister that y'all should check out, that talks about another side of Robert Johnson. It demystifies Robert Johnson and shows him as being just a regular black dude. Because Robert Johnson, when he died, he wasn't famous. He wasn't that well known, but it was to like the white rock and roll stars. They had the blues revival back in the 60s. I'm talking about people like Keith Richards and Eric Clapton. These British rock gods come over here. Oh man, we love Robert Johnson. He's the king. So they make this dude that barely made 30 sides while he was alive, that barely sold any records while he was alive. Now he's the king of the Delta blues singers, but really the most popular singer at that time was Petey Wheatstraw. the High Sheriff of Hell, the Devil's Son-in-Law. Y'all think that was like call that guy Dolomite movie. He is based on an actual blues musician named Petey Wheatstraw. If you listen to Petey Wheatstraw, Robert Johnson sounded a lot like him with that falsetto and stuff. And Petey Wheatstraw was doing topics and stuff, and his themes and his music could be considered like gangster rap today. You're doing gangster blues and stuff like that. And unfortunately, he actually got killed on his 30. I won't say it was 39th birthday. He was in East St. Louis trying to, him and his friends were trying to beat the train. The train hit them. Everybody died in the car, including poor Petey Wheatstraw that was on a beer run. And that was their last run. They didn't get that beer. But he died at 39, and he was prominent enough to be listed, I think, in Billboard magazine or newspaper or something like that, that he died. So his death made national headlines when he died at the age of 39. I want to say back in 1942. Allegedly, Petey Wheatstraw was either from Arkansas or from Ripley, Tennessee, but I think he's buried in Cotton Plant, Arkansas, where Rosetta Tharpe, my cousin, is from. But yeah, he was the most popular blues singer at that time. And yet people forget about him. He's forgotten about. And that's funny how history works like that, because now I got, like I said, I learned something new every day. It was this a white crooner, this Italian named Russ Colombo. Russ Colombo was a prominent singer from the late 20s and early 1930s. He was on his way to becoming a prominent movie star. He already did several movies where he was featured. And he was amazing talent. He was a baritone crooner. Like, he was so popular. He was, top 3 crooners in the industry. You had him. You had, I think, Rudy Valley, and you had Bing Crosby. So these was the top 3 white male crooners of the 30s, right? They were dominating the chart. What happened to him, unfortunately? Also, he was engaged to Carol Lombard, the great actress, comedian actress that was ended up marrying, what's his name, Clark Gable. What happened to him was that on September 2nd, I believe 1934, he was at his friend's home, this photographer, I believe, who had like this immaculate gun collection. And I think they was messing around with some guns, some Civil War era pistols. And somehow, according to the guy, he had a match lit next to the gun chamber and the, you call it thing, the handle you pull to make a gun. Somehow it ignited that, and the gun ball as the bullet, but it was a ball because it was a Civil War era thing. It ricocheted out the table and allegedly hit Russ Colombo above his left eye. And so they rushed him to the hospital. They tried to do surgery, and he was 6 hours in surgery, and he ended up dying. And the dude was only 28 years old. He's only 28 years old when he died, but he was like, he was so popular that they did a cartoon. I think it was a Looney Tune cartoon. They talk about Crosby, Valley, and Colombo, something like that, like Cosby, Colombo, and Valley, or something like that. So he was very popular. He had a cartoon that honored him as as for his singing. But it's interesting, like, they don't talk about Russ Colombo anymore, even though he was that popular during his lifetime. So it's funny how this worked, because you can have a musician like a Jay-Z. Everybody knows Jay-Z is, but 100 years from now, it could be a cat who had no type of following, who was only known on SoundCloud. They could say, "Oh, this is the greatest rapper of all time." It's not Jay-Z, not Nas, not even Eminem. This dude from SoundCloud, he's the one. It's like how they did with Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson was not that well known when he died in August 16th, 1938 in the Delta. He was not well known, because if he was well known, then John Hammond would not have sent somebody down in the Delta to find him for their Carnegie Spiritual Swing concert. Because like Petey Wheatstraw, they reported his death nationally, and he's not even well known today. Y'all only know Petey Wheatstraw from Dolomite, and that's a movie. It's based on his character, because he used to call himself the Devil's Son-in-Law, the High Sheriff of Hell. So look up Petey Wheatstraw. Yeah, so I don't know why I'm talking about this dude brought up Howlin' Wolf. He opened up a damn Pandora box of stuff. And Big Bill Broonzy. They don't talk about him. He was very popular, very prolific. So politics are interesting. It's like, I talk about Jesse Belvin. You know, a lot of people don't know who Jesse Belvin was. But according to Eddie James, Jesse Belvin would have been bigger than Nat King Cole and Sam Cooke had he lived past the age of 27. Look up Jesse Belvin. He wrote the song Earth Angel. I had no idea until recently he wrote that song. I just learned about Jesse Belvin back in 2018. I'm a big fan of Sam Cooke and Nat King Cole and Johnny Ace. This dude died at 27 with his wife, who was his manager, under questionable circumstances. They played a gig in Little Rock, which was considered the first integrated concert in Little Rock's history. We all know about Arkansas. Arkansas is a very gangster state, but they'll get harassed by these white supremacist, racist types, right? And on that bill was not only Jesse Belvin, but also Marv Johnson, Jackie Wilson, and Sam Cooke. Now, Sam Cooke and Jackie Wilson, they both died crazy deaths. And a lot of people around Sam Cooke died crazy, including Jesse Belvin and his first wife. I mean, but as they was leaving, as they left the concert, somehow they had car problems. They brakes didn't work or something like that. And they were killed. Him, his wife, and another person was killed on a highway outside of Hope, Arkansas, where Bill Clinton is from Hope, Arkansas. No hope that night. That happened February 6, 1960, just 27 years young. His wife was just 25. I believe they left 2 young boys behind. But they don't talk about Jesse Belvin. Matter of fact, one of his songs was used as the closing song for Dick Clark's American Bandstand for years. Jesse Belvin is probably the greatest singer you never heard of. Look up Jesse Belvin. I mean, the man had the looks, he had the talent, he could write. There's a lot of songs he wrote he don't even get credit for. He just got paid up front for them. So it's just like, oh, I'm talking about Scott Joplin. People believe that Irving Berlin stole a lot of Scott Joplin songs. Irving Berlin is known for the guy who allegedly penned God Bless America. What a lot of y'all don't understand is that a lot of these black musicians would sell these songs to white dudes on Tin Pan Alley. That was like the music industry back in the day, the songwriters and stuff like that, Tin Pan Alley in New York. You know, Fats Wallace sold a lot of songs. He said he was selling songs to change the name, the title of the songs, then sell the same songs over and over again. So Fats Wallace, a lot of the songs, I don't believe his estate controls those songs, like Ain't Misbehaving, all that stuff. I remember reading Duke Ellington's autobiography, Music is His Mistress, or Music is My Mistress, something like that. And Duke said he wrote a whole musical overnight. And the so-called partner he had took that musical over to Europe and became a multimillionaire off his musical. Duke never saw no money from that. And then like his manager, this white dude named Irvin Mills, had no talent, but he would put his name on Duke Ellington songs to get all types of royalties. Duke gave him a lot of cut of his royalties and shit in publishing. It's crazy what these people go through. You know, Duke had a band for 50 plus years, but Duke was struggling. But I don't know why I'm talking about Duke. Talk about Hollywood is open up some other stuff. But let me see. Yeah. Well, they don't get no. I mean, people don't get the notifications all the time. So let's see. Passion, because you know, Biggie was killed in front of the Automotive Museum. Well, it's not Pat with Peterson Automotive Museum. And somebody's going through the Wikipedia. But let me finish. Let me wrap it up, man. I'll be doing freestyles, man. I'm like I'll be doing freestyles and get carried away. And next thing you know, I'll be on here for another hour. Sometimes I don't think I want to do no show, and then I do a show. Let me wrap it up. And thank y'all for being patient. Yeah, that's me from the People's Grocery Market on South Memphis by a four-way restaurant. There's a famous restaurant called Four-Way Restaurant right across the street from where they used to have the People's Grocery. So that's me back in 2017. Well, one of my Black History Dream Girls portrait, Ada B. Wells. Ada be fine. But let me see. Let me read. This is on the People's Grocery lynching. Y'all teach this to y'all children, man. Our people need to know about our history. We should be learning about who we are as soon as before we even come out the womb. You should read to your child to be in the womb, listen, play Charlie Parker or whatever, Jimmy Lawrence for Howlin' Wolf. We got to incubate Black greatness before they even get here. The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. The people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare with the press. One had better die fighting against injustice than die like a dog or a rat in a trap. All these quotes are by my Black History Dream Girl, Ida B. Wells-Barnett. And then let's get to the meat of it. This is what opened my eyes to what lynching really was, an excuse to get rid of Negroes who were acquiring wealth and property and thus keep the race terrorized and keep them down. Ida B. Wells on the People's Grocery Lynchings. Memphis had emerged as the 5th largest wholesale grocery market in the country. This is from the Ida B. Wells historian, the great Paula Giddings, from her book about Ida B. Ida, A Sword Among Lions. A Sword Among Lions. Y'all need to check that out. Never forget, this was the blood sacrifice that gave us the iconic Ida B. Wells. March the 9th, 2021 marked the 129th anniversary of the People's Grocery Lynchings, aka the lynching at the curve. The lynchings that launched my Black History Dream Girl, the great Ida B. Wells-Barnett's anti-lynching campaign or crusade. A finer, cleaner man than he never walked the streets of Memphis. He was well liked, a favorite with everybody, yet he was murdered with no more consideration than if he had been a dog. The colored people feel that every white man in Memphis who consented in his death is as guilty as those who fired the guns which took his life. That's Ida B. on Thomas Moss. In 2019, I paid my respects to the righteous ancestors Thomas Tommy Moss, Calvin McDowell, and William Henry Stewart. All three were and are proud race men and true Black liberation martyrs. I went to Zion Christian Cemetery, Memphis's oldest African-American cemetery, where all three men are buried, but only Moss's grave has been located. Thomas Moss, a mailman and the owner or co-owner rather of the popular People's Grocery Store, which was patronized by both Black and whites, was a very popular leader of the Memphis Black community. At the time of his death, Moss's wife Betty was pregnant with his son, and Ida was the godmother of his little daughter. These men were lynched not because they were rapists, thugs, or criminals, but because they were successful businessmen who threatened the economics of white supremacy. William Barrett, a white grocer across the street, was enraged by the success of the People's Grocery and organized a deputized white mob to attack the store on Saturday, March the 5th, 1892. The Black men and their supporters successfully defended the store via a gunfight that seriously wounded 3 white men. Once they realized these white men were so-called lawmen in plain clothes, they surrendered their arms as well as themselves. According to the Memphis Appeal Avalanche, on Wednesday, March the 9th, 1892, at about 2:30 a.m., 75 white men in black masks surrounded the Shelby County Jail, and 9 entered. They dragged Tommy Moss, Will Stewart, and Calvin McDowell from their cells and brought them to the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad Yard, a mile outside of Memphis. What followed was described in such harrowing detail by the white papers that it was clear reporters had been called in advance to witness the lynching. At the railroad yard, McDowell struggled madly and at one point managed to grab a shotgun from one of his abductors. After the mob arrested it from him, they shot at his hands and fingers inch by inch until they were shot to pieces. Replicating the wounds the white deputies have suffered, they shot 4 holes into McDowell's face, each large enough for a fist to enter. His left eye was shot out and the ball hung over his cheek in shreds. His jaw was torn out by 2 buckshot. Where his right eye had been, there was a big hole which his brains oozed out. The appeal avalanche added his injuries were in accord with his vicious and unyielding nature. I guess he was too uppity. Will Stewart was described as the most stoic of the three, obdurate and unyielding to the last. He was also shot on the right side of the neck with a shotgun and was shot with a pistol in the neck and left eye. Moss was also shot in the neck. His dying words reported in the papers were, "Tell my people to go west. There is no justice for them here." So, yeah, this is sad. This happened March 9th, 1892. Y'all talking about, man, they're going to let them people walk from George Floyd. And what do you expect? They always let these people get away. But y'all know that most lynching victims were business people. Most of the black folks were lynched, were business people. Think about, I'm right across the river. In Arkansas, they did the Lane Race Massacre of 1919. The reason why they killed all them black people was because you had black sharecroppers who was tired of being taken advantage of by white business people, so they wanted to form a union. And they shot up a church, and they shot back, and the rest is history. All these black folks got shot up, put in mass graves, thrown in Mississippi River. And you read the official count is always, about 20 black folks got killed. About 2,000. Try 2,000. You know, anytime they put the lowbrow number, add a couple of zeros behind the lowbrow number, and then you get the actual reality of what happened. So you look at Thomas Moss. I mean, I heard that he actually trying to look, I got a child on the way, I got a family. They didn't care. All this because the white man could not deal with black excellence. These black folks were making money and they're providing quality products and superior service. And the white man just couldn't play fair. Now, this white man was already in trouble. He was getting all type of tickets from the city for unethical behavior and practices at his store across the street. And so yeah, he told his people to go west. And this is why I want to talk about Black Wall Street, which will be the centennial this May coming up in 2021. A lot of black folks, when they, A.L.L, Wells, told black people through her newspaper, y'all need to go west. Like, well, she repeated the last words of her dear friend, Thomas Moss. So you hear about approximately 6,000 black folks leaving Memphis to go west. And a lot of them settled in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, what is now what we know as Black Wall Street. And one of the financiers or sponsors of that movement was Robert Church Sr., who was considered the first black millionaire of the South, whose daughter was one of the first black women to get a college degree in this country, the brilliant Mary Church Terrell. She was also a childhood friend of Thomas Moss. She knew Thomas Moss well. She actually went to the White House with Frederick Douglass to confront the president about what happened to her friend in Memphis. Try to get people want an anti-lynching bill passed. And it's funny that it's Billie Holiday movie. They didn't want to sing Strange Fruit because talk about how black folks were getting lynched and stuff. Black folks been trying for generations and years to get an anti-lynching bill passed in this country. So you even had Mary Church Terrell, whose father was the first black millionaire of the South, who was good friends to a person that she lost to a violent, end because white folks couldn't, stand fair competition. She's in the White House asking the president, y'all need to do something how they treat my people, with, the black leader of black people at that time, Frederick Douglass, who was also a friend of A.L.L. Wells. So I don't know, but we don't talk about this. Y'all want the white folks to tell you about their dirt. Y'all want the white people to give y'all honest credit report on their behavior. They're not going to do that. You got to take the time to do the research. And I do my best to present some of this stuff to you all. But think about that. Black folks left Memphis. A lot of them went to Oklahoma, Black Wall Street. Had a lot of black business folks behind that idea. And something horrible happens again. Black Wall Street, every time we try to do something, they always throwing a monkey wrench. And they talking about, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, hell, I don't got no straps or boots to work with. Y'all keep on taking them. Every time we do something, y'all destroy it. Y'all sabotage it. Like, after the Civil War, black folk became the most literate group of people in the country that's coming out of slavery. And what they do now, you look at you got black folk talking about he's the 62nd person in his class, and he only got a 1.0 GPA. We went from black folks come out of slavery, valuing education, trying to better themselves. I mean, to what we got now. We twerking on tables. We can't even make a 1.0 GPA, but we getting socially promoted. I remember, see, I don't blame the children for that. Y'all put the wrong blame. Look, I remember I was a substitute teacher. I talked about Booker T. Washington, right? Booker T. Washington had Lucy Campbell, the mother of gospel music, used to teach there for decades. Maurice White came out of Booker T. Washington, right? Maurice White, the founder of Earth, Wind, Fire. I remember when I was substitute teaching, it was a cat that asked me, a young student, a young guy, even a high school student. He asked me, can he, go to the restaurant? He want to give my permission for him to go to the restaurant. I said, okay, well, why don't you write you a hall pass and I sign off on it? And he told me, Mr. Ron, I can't really read or write. I said, you can't really read or write? What are you talking about? You in high school, right? He said, yeah, but they passed it because I didn't act out in class. They said, as long as I be quiet and don't talk back and just be quiet and just sit in that corner, they'll pass me. So there's a thing called social promotion where they just pass the kid along and nobody taking interest in the kid. A lot of times you go to these schools, they don't have qualified people teaching our kids. It's more like babysitting or daycare. So you really wasting the time of the people, of the students there. They're not learning anything. It's opportunities missed. You just babysitting these kids. And so it's a shame, but he was honest about it. Said, Mr. Ron, I can't really read or write. You basically functionally illiterate. You think about these people are having children at a young age, and they not even, have just the basic skills to survive. And babies raising babies, like that's a form of genocide to me when you undereducate people. They said there's a shortage of, jobs, vocational jobs. They can't fill in. They got a shortage on plumbers, right? And I remember I saw this PBS News hour recently. They're talking about the shortage of the nationwide shortage of plumbers. Here's a job that you can make 6 figures a year because people are always going to need the use of plumbing. You are going to have a job. It's an in-demand job, plumbing. Because people need plumbing. It's necessary for civilization. But they got shortages. You got folks in certain part of the country, they are willing to pay people to learn how to be plumbers. You can intern, you get paid. That's better than paying a college for a job that don't exist. And you be 6 figures or 5 figures in debt for a job that you don't have or career that doesn't exist. So, but when I saw the program, they feature white men, they feature immigrants, they feature women, possibly even LGBTQ, but there were no black men or black guys featured, black American men. Like we are invisible. But even had a sister from Detroit who was a plumber and she had her own plumbing business. So she's black, she's black and she's a woman. But where's the black man? It's like they just getting rid of black men. Black men, we're becoming obsolete, and it's really troubling to me. You see the stuff that's going on right now. But you think about Thomas Moss and Calvin McDowell and Will Stewart. These were black men who was about being providers and protectors of their community. They had a rifle club. And see, the problem with black people, we want to play fair. And nobody plays fair. Everybody plays dirty. So when it comes to black people, we want to put in Jesus and ethics. And, we want to look out for everybody, but nobody's looking out for black people. So they had a right to defend their store. They got in the shootout. The white men came in there. They're trying to do some dirty stuff. Then you have the white cops in the crowd, in the mob, undercover with plain clothes. And once the black fellas realized they shot some so-called officers of the law who were acting unlawfully, they surrendered their guns and they went to jail. And they should have just, if they knew the fate that was waiting for them, they probably would just fought it out to the end. But our people, man, we try to play fair in a crooked game. Like even when you're winning, they change the rules while you're winning. That's how they do it. You're trying to prove something. It's like the devil is only qualified to give you more hell. They're not qualified to give you mercy or justice. It's just us. And that's why this time that we're in is very much needed, because we're going to lose a lot of people if we don't wake up and start making choices that are in our best interest. And really, it starts with the individual. Y'all looking for groups to join? Nearly Fuller, he said, you are your own organization. I mean, you got to create your own bylaws. You got to have your own moral code. Y'all trying to do all this group. I'm not trying to work with all black people. I don't want that headache. Trust me. I don't have a job because I try to work with all black people. I want to work with the right type of black people. See, history should teach you that. All skin folk ain't kin folk. All kin folk ain't your folk. You understand? Y'all need to start getting help, man, because stuff is crazy. But yeah, even look at Black Wall Street. That was a big lynching, and because black folks were successful. See, they kill you when you successful. They killed Sam Cooke because he was successful. They killed Otis Redding because he was successful. They murder black excellence in this system. Y'all talking about getting rewarded, and then what y'all do is that to get the crumbs, y'all destroy everything. Just to get some. I mean, you look at Jay-Z. This man was a Trojan horse for justification in Brooklyn. And I said Jay-Z is one of my top 5 rappers. I'm not looking at his politics or looking at his business acumen or his agenda. I'm looking at just the artistry of what he did with rap. But as a businessman, he's horrible for black people because he's not in the interest of our people, man. Because, like, look what he did to Brooklyn. Didn't own nothing with the Barclays. Didn't have no ownership really with the Nets or the Barclays Center. They used him to destroy Brooklyn. I'm gonna tell you something. When they ran Ida Wells out of Memphis, out the South, a lot of y'all think she went straight to Chicago. No, she did not. She went straight to Brooklyn. She went to Brooklyn. That was a stronghold for black liberation, for black excellence. Brooklyn took care of Ida B. Brooklyn, hey, come on, we got you, sister. You can't. Brooklyn ain't Brooklyn no more. I love Brooklyn too. When I went to New York, I used to love going to Brooklyn. So damn expensive though. But Brooklyn was made by the culture. It's like Central Park was the African village, right? The village. Well, black folks stay. Anywhere where black people stay becomes valuable real estate. Because you got the culture, but they don't want us there. It's like I'm downtown at this little artist enclave. It's art. I got an artist loft. Look at all the art. But they really don't want me. They just want my essence. Like I just said, well, Ron Hurd used to live here. Ron Hurd lived here. Ron Hurd, right now they treat me like I'm a nobody. But, when I die, oh, Ron Hurd, look at this horn and look at the artwork, man. Ron Hurd, man, he was amazing. That's how they do us. But, my thing is, so what? How they benefit me. But what we got to start doing is say, you know what? What can I do with the time that I have to make myself happy? Because when you make yourself happy, no matter if you can make anybody else happy, but if you can make yourself happy, you can do things worthwhile while you're here and not really worry about if it pleases other people. Because even if it doesn't please other people, it is important that you take care of yourself. And that's what a lot of us don't understand. You got to take care of yourself. If this 2020 ain't teaching you that, you got to be kind. You got to be forgiving towards yourself. It is so important. I'm learning that I'd rather be alone than to be with a whole bunch of people that don't give a damn about me. Because I don't give a damn about myself. To somebody, you got to be a friend to yourself. That's your real ally, me, myself, and I. Because if you could be kind and generous and forgiving and be an advocate for you, it can help a lot of people. Because a lot of folks, they ain't really doing too much anything. They care too much about sports and entertainment and distractions and bread and circuses. They're not really adding to the upliftment or empowerment. But I realize now as I get older, I got to take better care of myself. Because I'm doing work that needs to be done. And I'm not looking for anybody to validate that work. I'm looking for my own self-satisfaction. Because if I could do things that please me, I already know there's an audience out there for the stuff that I do. But I got to be here long enough to get the benefit from that. It's to paraphrase one of my favorite artists, not just musicians, but Thelonious Monk. I got a lot of Monk. Oh, I'm trying to point. Yeah, you see that Thelonious Monk tribute back there. And he said, even if it takes you 20 years to get an audience, keep doing what you do. See, y'all don't dictate my taste. I don't try to follow the trends or the hashtags. this might not get that many views because you're talking about people's grocery lynching. I talked about Biggie, but people grocery, we don't want that. We want party and bullshit. What is Biggie party and bullshit? Y'all want party and bullshit. Y'all don't want the real stuff. What I'm saying is the ancestors demand that we step our game up. A lot of y'all, it's just disappointing. It's like the older people get, the more coonish things tend to go. Like, you just give up. Just tired, man. It's like it's a lot of people I don't talk to no more. Not because I don't want to talk to them, but they just can't stand the fact that I don't want to think like that. I'm not interested in saying, well, we gotta wait and pray. No, you better do something. You better get up, get out, and get something. All this wait and pray BS. Poisoning your kids and grandkids and great-grand. You see, black folks curse ourselves. Ain't talking about the word black. Y'all, we are black. No, you change the word black like they changed the word gay. That ain't the point. The point is that we curse our own. Ain't nobody cursing us but us. Like I talked about Biggie and Tupac. We put these words, create these realities. Then we like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. It's like, but then the things that we shouldn't blame ourselves for, we blame ourselves for. Like, the crack put in our communities. Yeah, a lot of us help, circulate that in our community, but the government, the same government that you ask for redress and for justice and for benefits, and if you pay taxes to, they poison they own. They kill us every day with the BS. They want you to die from shock. I can't believe that I'm an American citizen, supposedly, and yet if you illegal, if you break the law, you get all these welfare benefits. But yeah, I try to obey the law. I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, and I still can't get no break. And my blood pressure's still high, and I got this sugar that's eating up my body, and I still can't. Why, Lord, you can't hear me? It's like you think about, what was the last words of some I mentioned, man? We think the last words, oh my God, Jesus help me, Mama, Jesus. Nobody came. Jesus didn't come. Mama didn't come. Nobody came to say Thomas Moss or Calvin McDowell or Will Stewart or Emmett Till. Name anybody. Nobody came for him. Nobody. So, man, I wake up every morning, I think about this type of stuff. Like I said, the dead ain't dead. The dead ain't dead. I don't really care. Like, y'all keep on talking about these identity politics. I think it's kind of really weak arguments, man, because y'all don't know. It's like you look at your family tree, right? And like it's interesting because I trust going through the mother side, like the women's side of the family tree more so than the father side or the male side, because women, they step out. The women be creeping, so I creep. They might be messing around with the next door neighbor. And so you try to do a DNA, stuff ain't matching up right because the woman out there sleeping around like some Jerry Springer stuff from back in the day, but this happened 200 years ago. So you don't really know who your kinfolk is and all that stuff. And people talking about claiming this and Indian tribe. Okay, make it real though. My challenge to anybody that claims something, make it real. Give me the backstory, create a backstory on it, claim it, make it real. Because like, everybody claiming stuff, like people say, well, no, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, Baha'i faith, Buddhist, all this stuff. I don't really care because, like, to me, it's a waste of time to debate beliefs. I'm not going to debate nobody what they believe because that's what they believe. It has nothing to do with facts or logic or all this stuff. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. If it makes you a productive person, that's great. But, I don't have no problem calling it black. Because black is good. To be in the black. Y'all think black is bad. Black is great. Why not? People say, well, it's not a land, or that's why we can't get no sovereign and we get no respect because there's no land. Make a black land. They got a Scotland. Make a black land. These tribes and stuff, the Cherokee don't care about you. It's like the royal family. They don't even want Meghan Markle people. They don't. They don't care about you. Oh, yeah, you might be Muskogee, but hell no, we to Muskogee. We don't want you. Create your own tribe. Well, I I mean, black folks, we right now we looking defeated. And y'all be claiming Aboriginal rights or Native rights and Pan-Africanism. We look defeated right now as a people. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not a good look when you're begging your enemies for mercy. When we're at the mercy of your enemies. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. So thank you, Dominique, bro. I appreciate it. Praying for a break is a waste of thought. Well, you know what? It's like, I'm gonna paraphrase what Frederick Douglass said. He said, I've been praying for 20 years, but my prayers will answer when I start praying with my legs. He said, I've been praying for 20 years. I'm paraphrasing what he said, get out of slavery, but his prayers was not answered till he started using his legs. Get up, get out, and get something. Get up, get out, and get something. See, I got folks from the West Indies, man, in the tree. People confused. Black people we are the indigenous of this planet, man. Black folks, we everywhere. We the indigenous of the planet. It's like Columbus. Everywhere he went, he saw black people. We circumnavigate the globe. We the mothers and fathers of civilization. It's like Dr. Randy Weston, great jazz master. I had a chance to spend time with him before he died. He died like 2018, Labor Day weekend. But he was saying, Ron, America is Africa. America is Africa. Randy Weston, about 6'8" tall in his prime, big dude. You think he'll play basketball? He was more interested in music than he was in playing sports. His father was from Panama, and his mom was from Virginia, and they were all Garveyites. They believed that Marcus Garvey was from Jamaica. He was not from here. Marcus Garvey was made an icon by Black Americans. We made Marcus Garvey who he was. And there's another thing. People talking about this Asian racism, like this, black folks being racist towards Asians. Look, Ho Chi Minh, the leader of the Viet Cong resistance, Ho Chi Minh, the father of Vietnam, used to come to America to listen to Marcus Garvey speak in Harlem. Marcus Garvey inspired Ho Chi Minh to be a revolutionary. Ho Chi Minh was born on May 19th, like Malcolm X. And this other person was also born on May 19th. Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Let me be patient. Sometimes you just type in gibberish and they get the right thing for you. Let me see. Because got this thing about Black Asian thing, right? Trying to find the lady name. There was a Japanese American. There was a part of Malcolm X's organization of Afro-American Unity. Her name is Yuri Kochiyama. Yuri Kochiyama was a Japanese American who also was a nurse, I believe, but she was a follower of Malcolm X. She was in his organization of Afro-American Unity. She was there when he got assassinated. And she used to take the notes for the organization of Afro-American Unity organization. So people talked about, this, anti-racism or racism against Asians by Black people. We can't be racist. We don't control nothing. We don't control no institutions in this damn system to be racist towards Asians. Like Asians, they call them the white minority, right? And Asians you don't even hear about Asians. Why they always trying to shame Black folks in voting? Why don't I never shame the Asians? You want to hear about Asians being shamed every 2 or 4 years? You better get out and vote. Your ancestors died for the vote. They ever tell Chinese American, your ancestors built the railroad. You should go out and vote. Only the weakest link is told to vote and be vote shamed. That's Black people. We the weakest link because we don't own nothing. The Asians own stuff. Hell, you got Chinese folks buying up stuff, buying up Detroit and stuff like that. We as a Black people don't own nothing. So they're always trying to shame us and bully us around to vote, and you got to stay on a plantation. If you don't vote Democrat, you ain't Black. That means you ain't on the plantation. You supposed to be a slave. You ain't on Django on chain going on here. So Study history. Like I said, Ho Chi Minh was inspired by Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican. And Marcus Garvey's biggest base of support was Louisiana. Black folks love Marcus Garvey in Louisiana. You know, Queen Mother Moore is from Louisiana. I think that's like Queen Mother Moore. Now, Dick says she was an agent. She might have been. You know, the first black FBI agent was hired to neutralize Marcus Garvey. So it's not Judas and the Black Messiah. It's the white devil and the Black Messiah. It should be the white devil and the Black Messiah. Y'all blame each other for our own demise. Yes, we play a part in the demise, but we don't understand as black people is that they cannot get us without our consent. It's like with Eunice Rivers and Robert Moulton down in Tuskegee. If they didn't have their support, they could not have done the Tuskegee experiment, right? That's why they had to get rid of Booker T. Washington, because I don't believe Booker T. Washington would have been going along, even though he took that Rosenwald money. You're taking that money from the Illuminati people. But he was not going along with the program because Booker T. Washington was very vocal about the U.S. Marines occupying Haiti. You know, there's an article he wrote in the New York Age, the very brilliant, we don't even talk about our brilliant people. That's what I'm saying. You love black folks and serve black people, they forget about you for generations. Y'all need to look up Timothy Thomas Fortune. Brilliant, journalist, black person. He owned the New York Age. He published an op-ed that Booker T. Washington wrote about the U.S. occupation of Haiti that came out October 18th, 1915. Then a month later, Booker T. Washington was dead. His last, I believe, speaking engagement was at Yale, home of Skull and Bones. You know, George W. Bush's great-grandfather claimed that he stole Geronimo's skull, the great Indian warrior, and brought it back to Skull and Bones in Yale. So, with that said, they had to get rid of Booker T. Washington because the person that supposed to took his place after he died was his assistant named Emmett Scott. So they looked over Emmett Scott and got Robert Moulton, who was from Virginia. Now they said his grandfather was an African chieftain who made the family fortune selling black folks into slavery, ended up being sold into slavery himself and came to America, what is now known, I guess, as Virginia. But anyway, look up this stuff. But no, it's a lot of BS propaganda out here, and it's up to people to do their own research. Yeah, the Battle of Africa. Yeah, I mean, black folks, we are the original people, man. It's a let me get out of here. I can't believe I've been on here. It's a documentary called Coconut Revolution. Check out Coconut Revolution. The documentary came out like 20 years ago. It's about the group of Aboriginal melanated people. They on the islands outside of Australia. They was fighting against a powerful mining company. They'll go on a war using coconut. You know, this is a powerful mining company from Europe, whatever. These folks had all type of, guns and equipment, and they getting defeated by melanated people using the power of the coconut. I believe they started using coconut juice to power the trucks that these white folks left behind. They converted coconut juice into oil. But it's very fascinating. And they were successful for a minute, but I believe the leadership was killed off. But it's called Coconut Revolution. I saw it for the first time in 2016. It's still probably on Vimeo. They call it Vimeo or YouTube somewhere. Let's Google up Coconut Revolution documentary. It's very fascinating. Because y'all keep on thinking that, they got all the guns, they got the technology. It's not about that. It's about, are you willing to die for what you want? The reason why we lost Vietnam is not because we lost a battle. America didn't lose a battle in Vietnam. If you look at it from a military point of view, we didn't lose a battle technically. We lost the battle of public opinion, of perception. When folks start seeing all those young GIs coming back home in coffins and stuff like that, how a lot of them were strung out on heroin and stuff like that, that's where we lost. And how can you defeat an enemy that's willing to die? They don't care. They want to die. They rather die than be a slave. That's why slavery is a choice. I don't care what y'all say. Because a lot of us, we still slaves. A lot of us are slaves to different things. Some of us are slaves to social media, WAP, to Whoppers. Yo, everybody got their vice. So when he's at slavery, man, now man, y'all make you always have a choice. You might not like the options that you have, but you always have a choice. I don't care what it is. And all these black folks talking what they want to be called, what they really want to be is white. A lot of these black folks talking, y'all really want to be white. Because, you look at, I'm not going to call out nobody religion, but it's like a lot of the founders of these religions that people follow are very light and bright. I ain't just talking about the Christianity. I'm just saying, people got their little savior days and founder days, and they following light people, pale people, clear people. They look clear to me. A lot of people are color struck, man. Like with Meghan Markle, white folks are supposed to be racist. It's their system. It's a system of privilege. Racism does not mean that you hate anybody. You could be a racist person and still have love for the people that you exploit. There's a lot of racist white people that love black people. If they didn't love us, y'all wouldn't have no job. A lot of y'all wouldn't have no jobs or careers and nothing like that. It's not just Donald Trump either. He must owe Trump some money. No, y'all owe the IRS money. Hell, you owe student loans. Who control the banks and whatnot? People kind of strange. It's a really strange time. Yeah, but white folks love their pets. Pets are part of the family. See, we were white folks' pets for a long time. Like, Paul Mooney had that joke. Like, once we got free from slavery, we couldn't find no jobs and had no place to stay. But once they bring slavery back, we got a home for you right here in the big house. And we got 3 or 4 jobs for you now. White folks didn't want to pay for. Y'all think Trump was the only person that didn't want to pay their workers. No, white folks didn't want to pay their workers. And why this country got all this wealth, because they never paid its workers. It's not just Trump. Trump is a mirror to America. That's why I don't hate Trump, because a lot of y'all don't hate America. Because who party harder than black folks on the 4th of July? Black folks be having the American flag uniforms, fireworks, barbecuing, going hard for the 4th, man. Going hard, man. So we still join their militaries, fight their wars. Well, I was saying we got to fight the war at home and abroad. Now, why don't you just fight the war at home? Home is where the hatred is. So that Gil Scott Heron, home is where the hatred is. Why don't you fight that war instead of fighting a war in a country you can't even spell the name of, let alone find on the map? Why don't you fight that war? Why are you fighting a war where the person you fighting could come to your country, get all the benefits that you so-called fighting for, open up business in your neighborhood, and become your boss? Who are you really fighting? Who are you really fighting? Why? Why are you trying to prove something to white people? A lot of these white folks ain't been here longer than your people. You saying, well, I'm trying to prove something to the white man. I said, this person they fresh off the boat. They just came over here like a generation or two ago. Your folks been here for many, many moons and many, many generations. And yeah, you trying to prove something to people that just been here, that just got here. You trying to prove something to people that just got here where you already been here. It should be like the Dr. Dre song, been there, done that. But yeah, we keep on talking, well, maybe one day they're gonna have freedom. One day freedom come. All that BS. People tired of that shit. Y'all want somebody to fight and die for y'all. But yeah, y'all fight and die for people that don't even respect y'all. But really, it's not about them. It's about you don't respect yourself, because they always waiting for the day when we wake up out of this comatose state that we in to seek our revenge. And they really don't have nothing to fear. Because the thing about it is, our religions are meant to pacify people. It seems like that. Religion is a pacifier. Even though it was weird, a lot of people, it's probably more people got killed over religion than anything else, though, which is ironic. But religion is the opiate of the masses. It's used to pacify people. I can't explain it, because like we had some warriors, Mark Vesey, Nat Turner, Martin Delaney, Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. Don't have those no more. They replaced Bishop Henry McNeil Turner with T.D. Jakes. Turn the other cheeks. I have many cheeks to turn. Just turn them all. And y'all worship, material things. A lot of our great ones, they took vows of poverty. Like Malcolm, they say he had holes in his shoes when he died. He ain't had no money in the bank. He ain't really he didn't even have a home for his wife and his kids. Even the home he had, he didn't own. So was he a failure? I don't know. Yeah, America is a cesspool. Anyway, let me get out there. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just drag it along. If you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. YouTube for the time being, we all be TV. Cash App your support. $sign R2C2H2. PayPal, Google Pay, Zelle, R2C2H2 at gmail.com. Vimo at R2C2H2. You can buy Artivist art. I'll have to post more on my art, R2C2H2.com. Where Artivist gear, got my Judge Joe Brown on. Go below the description box if you're on YouTube. Access to Teespring. And it's interesting, man. I do some more freestyle shows. I'll probably have some special guests come on here to talk about some things. I think it's very important that we have these conversations, but make no mistake about it, having YouTube and social media posts and going back and forth on Facebook and YouTube live streams is not going to solve our problems as a people. I just do this a lot of times to provoke thought, and this is sure what's on my mind. I'm not even interested in getting you to think like me or see the world the way I see it. But I want to encourage whoever's listening to the sound of my voice. I want to encourage you to not be afraid and learning more about who you are and being comfortable with your worldview and not really caring if people really care about it. Because a lot of folks ain't really thinking about you. People got somebody say white folks got their own problems. We all got our problems. I got 99 problems, and getting white folks to like me ain't one of them. I got 99 problems, and getting black folks to love me ain't one of them. Self-love is the best love. Because without self-love, you can't have no love for anybody else. Not no real one. Not no genuine love. That's why people be bitter and depleted because like real love ain't about expectations. If you love someone, it's not because they got to do something for you or because they got to show you love. You just love them, and that's it. And you ain't worried about if they return in love, because you shouldn't expect. You got to treat that like how you treat movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already knew that Coming to America was not going to be the original because, first of all, it's PG-13. And also the original, just like this one, is a time capsule. See, we didn't have cancel culture back in 1988. Eddie Murphy could get on the stage. Look at his stand-up from Delirious and Raw. And the stuff he was saying about people and certain groups of protected people. They're a protected class now. You can't, how messed up it is. He had to apologize years later for stuff he said back in 1988. So they won't cancel his ass. So you already knew. To me, you should already knew that it was not going to be what it was in 88. And that's okay because of different time. And my thing, and I'm going to do a separate review. I know it's not that it was bad. To me, I laughed. I actually had genuine laughs, but it wasn't the original. And people, it's like with these movies, like these biopics, like the Aretha Franklin one with Jennifer Hudson, I have no expectations for it. And then what's the beautiful thing about it is when you don't have no expectations for these movies or biopics to get it right, you enjoy it more. At least I do. It's because like, oh, I'm surprised. That was interesting. Because I'm not expecting anything. It's like if you now you can't expect anything. You go out on dates and stuff. Or do people even date anymore? But I'm just saying, like, just gotta be open, man. It's like, you know what? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, unconditional. Y'all talk to judge. Judge ain't judge. We don't talk to judge about Biggie case. I don't need to talk to judge about no Biggie case. It's always an inside job. All these cases, man, it's always like the LAPD is so corrupt, man. What y'all need to do, look at the movie LA Confidential. The SWAT team was invented in Los Angeles. Like what Judge was talking about how they used to recruit white boys from the South to go out to LA to become police officers. You had a situation where that Ronald Stokes, the secretary of the temple out there in the Nation of Islam, was killed by the LAPD, and Malcolm wanted to go to guerrilla warfare, and Elijah said, "No, brother Malcolm, no, guerrilla warfare, brother Malcolm, no guerrilla warfare, brother. We must, God, Allah will smite thee. He will smite thee. The devils will get Allah's justice." Religion. It's like you think about, Khalid Muhammad, got Malcolm, got brother Alfred Skip Robertson. These guys were street guys. I mean, they was in the streets, man. They were warriors. But your religion will hold you back. I'm just saying, I'm not criticizing, I'm saying in general. But what's interesting? It's not necessarily the religion. It's what you believe about your religion. Because you got something like, it's this movie about this World War I hero named Alvin York, Sergeant Alvin York. He's from the hills of Tennessee. He's a son of Tennessee from the hills on the east side of Tennessee, right? I think Gary Cooper played him in the movie, I'm not mistaken. But Alvin York was a Christian. He was like a Christian. He believed in the Bible. He didn't believe in war. But somehow he was able to justify joining this war, I guess because it was like, it was the right thing to do. It's the morally right thing to do. Became one of the most decorated soldiers in World War I. He was a killing machine, but yet he was religious at first. He was going to be a pacifist and stuff. And then, white folks put that in his ear because they train, you can make anybody to a killer. Anybody's capable of being a killer. It's all about programming. But he was able to overcome his religion to fight that fight. Then you got somebody like Muhammad Ali, who wasn't really going to see any harm. He was not going to be on the front lines. He's going to be there entertaining the troops. But nevertheless, because his moral convictions, he didn't want to. So he said, no Vietcong ever call him nigger, right? So he sacrificed almost 4 years of his prime for his moral conviction because he had a moral code. He didn't wait for society to dictate what is right or wrong to him. He had a conscience. And he was willing to put something that he valued and loved, his boxing career, on the line for his moral code. Because he really was not going to be a soldier on the front line. They were not going to help him fight. And what's funny is that he never had problems with the draft board until the Nation of Islam took over his boxing career from the Louisville group, what they call themselves, a white businessman from Louisville. They controlled his career at the beginning. So that's why, you don't really have any real black institutions that protects black people or promote or advocate our self-interest. Because Muhammad Ali, even if he switched, up his management team, his business team, if we really had real black institutions and even our own black military, they wouldn't have did it to him. We have, what's interesting is it's not even about being called black or whatever. It's about the fact that, when America, when it's people used to lynch people from other countries, like you could be from Italy or China, the government had to pay restitution or reparations to that country of origin. The fact that black people have no country that advocates for us, no nation that backs us up, this is why we get treated the way we do. Because it's hard to make the case that we're real citizens when we're not treated as such. Or maybe it's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But I'm going to end it on this. You look at what's going on. People talking about Texas, right? Governor Abbott and they just swinging their things. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang. Bone Thugs. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang. So people talking about Texas, but look at what happened to that black community, Sand Branch down in Texas, outside of Dallas, just 15 minutes from the center of Dallas. You got a black town that does not have any type of indoor plumbing or running water for 142 years of its existence. They have no water in that town. And every Saturday, a daughter of that town who was the minister of the church there will come from Dallas to bring in water and food to those people. This is just 15 miles or 15 minutes away from Dallas. This town has no water, no running water. And it's been existing for 142 years, but yet the people making excuses why they can't get these folks running water, but yet they always trying to buy the land from the people that live there. They constantly trying to buy. She said her own mama sold her house for $14,000. You own your home and you sold it for $14,000. This is gentrification, folks. This is like they're trying to eminent domain, because as soon as they buy that land, they're gonna have all the things they need that these black folks didn't have for 142 years. It's land grab. It's like I talking about, Central Park used to be a place where black folks stayed, the African village. Think about Georgetown in DC. Georgetown, they got on expensive homes. Georgetown University, multi-million-dollar homes. They used to be a black neighborhood. Georgetown was a black neighborhood for a long, long time. Then this guy again gentrified in the middle of the century, or the middle of the 20th century. Y'all need to look all this stuff up. Anywhere the black folks get them becomes valuable real estate that they want by any means necessary. And if you don't got a military, you don't got no institution to protect your interests, if you got nobody advocating for an agenda on your behalf, that's why we know that we fucked up, because there's no way those black folks should be suffering like that. When you got Benny Thompson up in Mississippi trying to sue Donald Trump, but yeah, he's not even addressing all the mysterious lynchings and jail cells and white neighborhoods of black people that have been happening for the last 40 years. But yeah, he got enough time, and we're gonna use the NAACP to try Trump again. Hell, I'm calling me Kingfish. Hell, I got a catfish farm, and I'm Kingfish. You gonna use all that shit just to get at Trump, Agent Orange. Yeah, you got Sheila Jackson Lee down in Houston, Al Green. This is the state that produced Mickey Leland. And about who's hell Mickey Leland? Look him up. But I'm saying, like, you got black politicians, Maxine Waters, all these people. Nobody care about the black folks down in Sand Branch, Texas. Look up that video. I think it's the Atlantic Journal-Constitution. Somebody did it. Some sister. It's like a 12, 13-minute video. It's worth watching. It's like, wow, we got this going. Y'all talking about giving illegal immigrants full welfare benefits, but yet you can't give black folks that been in this country. That town was founded by former slaves. His former enslaved brother from Louisiana, along with 11 other comrades, founded Sand Branch. And all they doing is a land grab. This is a land grab. You destroy the water. They never had water, but you destroy the living conditions to get the land very cheaply. Because this is land grab. This is like it's a lot of things. But anyway, the struggle continues. There ain't nothing I can do about it right now. It's like they're saying in that Bugsy movie about Bugsy Siegel, which is historically inaccurate. They talking about Bugsy was trying to kill Mussolini. He was trying to kill some associates of Mussolini. That's been proven true. But he told Meyer Lansky this, his childhood friend and business partner, said, Bugsy, don't tell anybody that again, okay? Don't tell nobody. Let the Allied forces handle it, Bugsy. Let the Allies handle it. Black folks got no allies. We got no friends. If we can't be a friend to ourselves, we got nobody. So y'all keep on praying. Hopefully Jesus one day will intervene on a lynching or some police brutality case for us. I don't know. Y'all talking about George Floyd and, see, it's interesting. That's something else. As I get older, I don't want to see like I'm a grumpy old man, but damn, it's like we be elevating people to places is interesting. But let's go back to what Dick Gregory said, it's not how you live, it's how you die a lot of times that people get remembered. And Biggie, nobody till somebody kills you. So it's not about but why he Isaiah X now? I heard what Isaiah Thomas said on NBA. That's what I'm talking about. Isaiah Thomas is a former basketball player and a commentator. I heard what he said about we was already. It ain't the point. The point is, so what? It's like with Miles Davis. I remember when a dude from St. Louis said, a great saxophonist who's no longer here. He said we went to New York and he saw Miles Davis. And you know, Miles Davis from East St. Louis, you know, he had a career, you know, he started out in St. Louis playing in the club. So he said he ran up to Miles and said, "Hey, Miles, man, I'm from St. Louis, man." Then Miles looked at him and said, "So what, motherfucker? So what? Who gives a fuck?" That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all keep on saying, "We know we was already here." Okay, I said, Thomas, okay. They came before Columbus. I think he Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. I guess good he can read. He's a reading Negro. That's good. Reading rainbow is real. But I mean, y'all, I don't have time. Look, what I'm saying is work with black folks that you can work with, get with the people. Don't even, if black is not your thing, just connect with folks that you can work with something on. Malcolm said it best. He said, I don't care what your religion is or what, just get in an organization. If it's doing something to help advance your people, you know, get with that organization or start the organization. That's not important to focus on differences right now for our people. We all different. We all individuals, but we can come together as a collective on certain things that are beneficial to all our interests. But we got to figure out what these things are and stop trying to hide behind these meaningless arguments and gestures. That's a waste of all of our time. There's a reason why Neely Fuller said you should never get a bunch of black folks or so-called black people together without a plan or a vision, because it will fail before you even get started. Because our people, what I am learning is that our people, we have powerful energies, but we don't know how to use these energies for our benefits. Like everybody can manipulate us, you know, because they know the power of who we are when they focus us in on something. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I tell people we should study jazz musicians, band leaders like Duke Ellington and Count Basie and Art Blakey, Sun Ra, because our people are so fucked up that somehow they was able to get some of our fucked up people to focus on something that's worthwhile in spite of their shortcomings and drug habits or just craziness, right? So what we got to do is find out what we really want. You know, what you really want, what you need to do, what we all need to do as individuals is find out what you want out of this whole thing. Find out who you are out of this whole thing. Then, if you good on who you are, if you solid on who you are, that will reflect in your actions and the way you move and stuff. You know, like people will see, you don't have to tell nobody who you are. They'll know it by the way you move and by your actions and how you respond to things. So I would say work on yourself at this point, because, you know, getting bit out of shape because people don't see the things you see. Well, hell, do you understand and have a discernment about what you really see? Do you understand what you're seeing or what you're processing? Then my thing is, it's time to get into yourself now more so than trying to figure out how to get into other people, because you can attract things to you if you know what you want. Because you get a lot of us get a lot of shit, but we don't know what we want. So we get all this stuff. We go, oh man, because you get confused because you know what you want. Because there's so many things to get. You know, yeah, brother Dominique, you know, we probably the same tribe. You listen to me, and I enjoyed you on Kulik show. We may need to have a conversation very soon, brother Dominique. But I enjoyed those things you did with brother Kulik a couple months ago with your father. This is why I do what I do, man. I'm trying to find my tribe. Y'all talking about with them. I don't want to join a nation that don't want me. Y'all keep on telling me these Native American nations that don't want black people, even though we are part of the tribe. You understand? It's like the royal family, right? Because I didn't go, we don't like black people. Hell, ain't a lot of your family treat black people? Wasn't Queen Charlotte, House of Mecklenburg? She was mixed. Look at her. She got nappy hair. She needed some soul glow back in the day. You know, that's King George III's wife, Queen Charlotte, House of Mecklenburg. You know, Charlotte, North Carolina is named after her. What's it called? It's located where? Mecklenburg County. Got Alexander Pushkin, member of the European royal family. This man was proud of his African roots. He was proud of being black. He was black and proud. This man is the father of Russian language. You don't have all great literary geniuses from Russia without Alexander Pushkin, who was a black man, who died in a duel like Alexander Hamilton. No, he was trying to defend his thought wife. His wife was a thought. He was sleeping around, cheating in this room. Cheating in the next room. She been stroking. And he died in a gun duel. He was like 36 or 37 years old, but he's the father of Russian language, Alexander Pushkin. You understand? But he was proud of his African heritage. You know, he wasn't ashamed of being black, but he was a member of the European royal family. So you got black folks all up in that family. So people are like, I meet my interracial mixed friends and all that. They funny, not funny to me, but it's funny. You look at their choices they make. Some of them end up messing around with black people and having babies with black people. Some of them end up going to the white side. But it's funny. Then, regardless of the bad behavior of the white side, the black side get all the blame. It's interesting. Like the black side, black people, we so accepting of everybody. Even you're also homophobic. Hell. We love the gays. You know what I'm saying? For our choir director. I mean, some of the greatest musicians. I mean, I talk about Billy Strayhorn from Sweet Pea from Pittsburgh. That was Duke Ellington's major collaborator. He was gay. They call him Sweet Pea. Hell, one of the greatest musicians of the ragtime era to come out of New Orleans. Some people say he's the greatest piano player. Even Gilroy Morton of all people say he was the greatest piano player. Guy named Tony Jackson. He wrote a song called Pretty Baby that was dedicated to his male lover. He probably wrote the American Songbook, but he don't get credit for it because the white folks took his shit and named it something else. So that's what I'm talking about. We always doing this stuff. Are they stealing from us? Or are we just giving it away? Because we want to be loved and accepted by them so much. Yeah, y'all say what I want to, but what y'all need to do is do research. I don't know, people like, it's like when you look at those shows on the History Channel or some history documentary, and they'll say, well, no, Abraham Lincoln was thinking this. I said, he might have just picking his nose. I don't know. I mean, y'all keep on thinking like he was thinking this. He could have been just taking a shit. I'm sure he had to take a shit while he was alive. I mean, was he always this serious? I mean, I remember I'm gonna get off this because it's funny. I didn't know I'm gonna be on here for 3 hours. This is hilarious. I could have played that video I wanted to play, but it was funny. I gotta get out because neighbors probably be complaining and shit. Remember Miles Davis did a interview, and somebody asked about John Coltrane, and he said, "What give us a memory of John Coltrane? Like, what can you give us a memory?" He said, "Yeah, I saw him. He was standing waiting for his solo. He picked his nose and ate his booger." And people say, "Oh my God, you said about John Coltrane? You say he picked his nose and ate his booger." John Coltrane was a human being, so people pick their nose, and sometimes people eat their boogers. Okay, so what? Like he told the dude from St. Louis, I'm from St. Louis. So what, motherfucker? So what? So anyway, y'all take it easy. Yeah, I'm reading the comments right here. Coming straight. Yeah, I agree. We got to find some. I mean, Malcolm talked about that. Listen to Malcolm's message to the grassroots. He talking about it's not about your religion. And when he left the nation, he formed two organizations: the Organization of Afro-American Unity, which was a secular organization, and Muslim Mosque Inc., which was like the folks that follow him out the nation. But even Islam, how it treats black people. I mean, even Christianity. I mean, everybody got their pros and cons. Do I believe in matter of fact, my mom's gonna take some type of DNA test. I don't know what to believe in, but I do know this. It's good to have data available, and I think what we got to do is, who are we proving stuff to? Because white folks lie about their lineage all the time. I remember when Braveheart came out. Every white person I met, they related to William Braveheart or some shit. Even that movie was historically inaccurate, and that's another story. But stop looking to Hollywood for your information. Okay, so I'll find out because I'm trying to figure out this stuff. But I think it's important that black people really take an interest in their background story. Alex Haley stole his story from a white dude named Harold Corlander that wrote The African, and he called it The Roots. Hell, but black folks are indigenous. So-called black people are indigenous to the whole planet. We are the original people. I know about Dane. No, not. I mean, he got his lane. Okay. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in and not tuning out per se. And like I said, be open to receiving what's there for you. And like I said, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm familiar with people. Trust me, I'm familiar with a lot of these people. But what I'm doing right now is that I'm developing my intuition, my discernment. And it's not important to follow anybody. Y'all always looking for black folks, always looking for somebody to follow. Y'all follow these folks off the damn cliff. Y'all talking about some Jim Jones. That's why Jim Jones was able to get a lot of black people. We always looking for somebody instead of looking towards ourselves. Instead of looking toward the energy, the inner God. We all got God in us. We all gods. Up you mighty race and manifest what you will. Y'all always looking for somebody to follow. Y'all want to follow LeBron James. I ain't following him. Now I follow him on Instagram, on Twitter. Care about following these people. Y'all obsessed with following. You the leader that you need to follow. Follow yourself. This is ridiculous. I don't even listen to people. Y'all talking about y'all listen. I don't listen to people. I know who they are. I don't listen to a lot of these talking heads, man. I don't listen to them, man. I just be honest. Y'all be grown. Y'all got women and children. Y'all got beautiful wives and women, and you got a man, and you worry about some dude on YouTube, what he got to say. Or you worry about, who's the president. Who cares? Who cares? Because if you don't care about yourself, who gives a damn about all this other shit? Because how can you be of use if you don't take care of yourself? Worry about what somebody else got. Don't worry. What do you have? No. Well, he said this. I don't care what he said. That's fine. But what I'm saying is, it's not important that you be a parakeet. What do you call a parakeet? A mockingbird for somebody else. It's more important that you think for yourself and find or make a place for yourself in this world for you. Because if you do something for yourself, I guarantee you, by you doing an act of self-love, it's going to help a lot of other people. It's about to say they from Cleveland don't follow LeBron James. Well, I wish okay, good. And you know what? I'm sure that a lot of them people that got lynched was asking for Jesus, and Jesus didn't show up. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to pass no judgment. I don't talk about people what they should believe, but I am certain that a lot of black folks who were lynched in this country, some of their last words were, "Oh, Jesus help me, save me, Jesus." Oh, mama. We love our mamas. Thank you, Brother Earl. I will keep on doing that. And I love y'all madly. Like I said, I could have played the other video, but it's already out there. So ain't no big deal. So I want to thank y'all for taking the time. I just go on this rant. I ain't know I'm gonna be on here this long, but y'all take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other, but most importantly, be kind to yourself first. Practice forgiveness on yourself first, and know that the best is come. Like I said, Cash App, $R2C2H2, Google Pay, PayPal, Zelle, R2C2H2@gmail.com, Vimo at R2C2H2. Buy the art, R2C2H2.com. Buy some t-shirts. Go down below the description box. Teespring, R2C2H2 plates. In the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. And I'm signing off. I can't believe I've been on here this long. Love y'all madly.